on the website of the homeopathy department. So these indicate or point out that the homeopathy department has well-established footprints in Kerala, providing support and health care to a large segment of its population. It is in this context that today we are celebrating the Homeopathic Day 2021. The theme, as I mentioned earlier, is Homeopathy for All. I hope that through this theme, by spreading awareness about the need of preventive and promotive healthcare, we would be able to reach out to a larger segment of the population. The local self-governments of the state are supporting the homeopathic institutions in their outreach activities. Let me also wish all the staff members, all the doctors, the paramedical workers, and the field functionaries of the homeopathy department the very best on the occasion of their special day, the World Homeopathic Day. The theme, Homeopathy for All, is important in this context, in the present context of the rising COVID pandemic too. So as we step up our preventive activities, as we gear up our preventive strategies, as we go back to the basics to arrest the spread of COVID virus, let us all join hands with the other streams of medicine and the modern medicine department to ensure that the COVID containment efforts are taken to or are implemented properly and scientifically, so that we are able to curb the surge in the COVID cases now. Wishing all of you the very best once more on the occasion of the World Homeopathic Day. I conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, ma'am, for your encouraging and supportive words. And as ma'am said, let us all join hands and put in more stronger efforts, joining hands with all the other departments, fight this virus and bring back our normal life and day-to-day activities. Thank you once again, ma'am. Kind attention, participants. A gentle reminder, kindly put your devices in the mute mode. It is an official meeting, so please see that your devices are in the mute mode. Okay. May I invite the Assistant Director to Central Council of Research in Homeopathy, Dr. Praveen Oberoi, to address the session.
Narayanan, whether I can come in, you can have his talk later, because I am also in the midst of other meeting and I have to go there, in fact, because you sent me the message. I joined now, stopping that meeting. How are you planning now?
Dr. Rajan N. Cobragade, IAS, the Principal Secretary to Health and Family Welfare Department, has joined the session. A warm welcome to you, sir, to the session. May I invite the Principal Secretary, Health and Family Welfare Department, Dr. Rajan N. Cobragade, IAS, to address the session.
Yeah, thank you. My esteemed colleague, Dr. Sharmila, Dr. Divya, Director Homeo, also colleagues from State Directorate, all the participants from the district and other colleagues who have joined this meeting to celebrate International Homeo Day today. At the outset, let me congratulate the organizers for organizing this meeting, so that this meeting should discuss certain few things and set up the agenda for the coming financial year. Now, before I go to the aspects of the importance of the day, I would like to have certain pointers for all of you to keep it in mind. The first question is, what was our decision in the last International Homeo Day? Now, I understand, in fact, I know that last year, because of the COVID, there might not be any meeting. But prior to that, what was our decision? just think for a moment, and after that, based on whatever decision we had taken, what kind of a works we have put into practice at our individual level, in our clinics, our dispensaries, in our hospitals, and collectively at the policy level, that we should think. Be part of that. If we have been working on what we have decided, then whether we have done any kind of analysis that the interventions what we had planned, the way we have implemented, whether we have gone ahead or whether we need to do any mid-course correction. What actually is happening is, we take a look at these days, we come, and as we always use the word celebration, we come together, we talk about it, but the real essence, why these such days are there, because we want to bring attention on that one particular topic, but it necessarily require the set of actions at the individual level and at the grassroots level. Now, therefore, I am giving this poser. I have not come across any report from anybody with respect to the interventions what we are doing at the field level. I am not saying this as a observation. I am saying this to trigger thinking in each one of you, that why do we celebrate any particular day? And if we are taking a commitment of taking certain action forward, then are we having an action plan? If these are action plans are put in place, whether there is a method by which we are having a management information system, and based on that system, whether we are continuously improving the way we work. Keep that in mind. That will take us further when we actually do it in a systematic way. Second poser, we all know that most of the diseases we can tackle because of prevention. Now, in a public health, always it is mentioned that instead of finding the root cause, if we keep on going on a curative aspect, we will never be succeeding in overcoming that particular disease burden. We have launched a very good campaign, Ardhram People campaign. We involved everybody, all system of medicine. And in that system of medicine, in fact, we expected each one should imbibe, in fact, yeah, there is a meaning in what we are saying, and then work out the action plan within the verticals. And that action plan can be generic. It need not be a system of medicine specific. But I, as an individual, if convinced that these are the 5 pillars on which we need to work, and there is a one policy statement or a guidance which is given, then we need to take it forward. So then I would like to have then second poser, that as a fraternity from Homeo department, what is our actions related to this Ardhram People campaign? Now, when we ask this question, immediately, we will try to fish out certain things, but that is not the way. What I would like to impress upon each one of you is, if we have internalized and if we are convinced that, yes, that is the right way to go forward and it is the movement to be built, then it is a long-term planning is required, and we need to keep on working without looking at any short-term setbacks. So I would look and I would encourage you people to, on today's occasion, rather than speaking, in fact, regarding many other things, I would like to put forward, in fact, 3-4 things. And, definitely, we need to take a look at that, as I have said, that whether we are working on this or not is a continuous effort. And I do expect that the Secretary Ayush and also our MD NAM and all our Director Homeo and also all our DMOs at the district level and other doctors and also other staff they will take it very seriously, so that we will converge and go forward. So the first request to all of you is on this occasion that let us build a very good uh, HMIS. We have been discussing about it for years together, but other than the OP and IP number, disease specific, after that output specific, impact specific information is still lacking. So that is the first thing what we can put it on a forefront, that in what best way we will develop this. Is there any particular thing? Some people. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Sir, please carry on, sir.
Yeah, I will carry on, but host is muting me, so I take it as a signal that I should stop. So I was saying that you take it, you the first point I was suggesting that we have to have a very robust HMIS, and you have to take that initiative. We have been discussing about it. It is not doing any headway. So that is the first thing. Second, there should be a method that whatever interventions we do, in fact, that monthly report and the quarterly report comes to us, so that we will see the progress. And third thing is identify your core competencies. Don't think only through the silos of the specialty. Think that what all things you can contribute for a particular situation and in that particular cause. That is very important. So such integrative approach will take us and ensure that not only during the pandemic, but also as we are going ahead with this prevention platform, with the under the banner of Ardhram People campaign, that will become stronger and stronger as we go forward. So with these few words, once again, I wish all the best to all of you. But keep these few points which I have mentioned. And if we are having a system to understand that all our efforts are taking us forward, then we will go ahead in a faster pace. And also people will understand the importance of the interventions. And I think all the health related issues we will be able to tackle more meaningfully. So thank you very much. I once again thank the organizers for organizing this business session. In afternoon, there are particular thematic discussions with the various experts participating. That should definitely give guidance to all our colleagues in the field, so that we will have a qualitative improvement the way we work. And I look forward to what I said about these three things as a tangible output over a period of time. Once again, I thank all of you and I conclude. Thank you.
Sir, we were greatly honored by your presence. And thank you once again, sir, for your valuable instructions and suggestions. And with your support and also with the support of our Ayush Secretary, homeopathic system will be able to contribute more for the benefit of mankind. Thank you very much, sir. May I invite the Assistant Director, Central Council of Research in Homeopathy, Dr. Praveen Oberoi, to address the session.
Yeah, a hemophilia should be, output based.
May I invite Dr. T.K. Vijayan,
Who's that?
the Principal and Controlling Officer in charge, to address the session. He is on behalf of Dr. Sunil Raj, the Principal and Controlling Officer. Dr. T.K. Vijayan.
Hello. Hello.
Sir, please continue. You are audible, sir. Sir, Kelka.
Okay, thank you. So, let me speak in Malayalam. Okay. ഞാൻ ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി മെഡിക്കൽ കോളേജിൽ ഡോക്ടർ പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ സുനിൽ സാറിന് പകരമായിട്ടാണ് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഇപ്പോ നമ്മളുടെ ഈ കേരളത്തില് ലോകത്തിലാകമാനം ഇപ്പോൾ വൈറസിന്റെ ഭീതിയിലൂടെയാണ് കടന്നുപോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. കോളേജിന്റെയും ഡയറക്ടറേറ്റിന്റെയും ഹോമിയോപ്പതി മൊത്തം ആകെ പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് കോവിഡ് വൈറസിനെതിരെയുള്ള മരുന്നുകൾ ഫലപ്രദമായി വിതരണം ചെയ്തത് നമുക്ക്
ഫോണിലാണ് കയറിക്കാൻ
Dr. T.K. Vijayan, sir, I guess he's facing some technical issues. May I invite Dr. Robert Raj, the Joint Director, Department of ISM, to address the session.
Dr. Vijayan will team presentation. Business section, private section,
Hello.
The Homeopathy MD in charge.
Hello. Hello.
Dr. Robert Raj.
Yes,
Sir?
yes, madam.
Okay. So please continue. Thank you.
ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട ഹെൽത്ത് പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ സെക്രട്ടറി അയ്യൻ സാർ, ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട ആയുഷ് സെക്രട്ടറി ഷർമിള മാഡം, ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഡയറക്ടർ ഡോക്ടർ വിജയാംബിക മാഡം, മറ്റ് വിശിഷ്ട വ്യക്തികളെ, ഭാരതീയ ചികിത്സാ വകുപ്പിലെ ഡയറക്ടർ ഡോക്ടർ പ്രിയ ഇന്ന് ലീവിലായതിനാൽ ജോയിന്റ് ഡയറക്ടർ റോബർട്ട് രാജായ ഞാനാണ് ആശംസ അർപ്പിക്കാനെത്തിയത്. ആയുഷ് വകുപ്പിലെ തന്നെ ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഒരു വിഭാഗമാണ് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി. ആ ചികിത്സാ രീതിയുടെ ലോക ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ദിനമാണ് ഇന്ന് ആഘോഷിക്കുന്നത്. ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ദിനാചരണത്തിന് ഭാരതീയ ചികിത്സാ വകുപ്പിൻ്റെ പേരിലുള്ള എല്ലാവിധ ആശംസകളും അർപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. ഈ കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ചികിത്സയുടെ പ്രസക്തി വളരെ വലുതാണ്. കൊറോണ വൈറസിനെ ഒരു പരിധിവരെ പ്രതിരോധിക്കുവാൻ സാധിച്ചു എന്ന് തന്നെ നമുക്ക് പറയാം. കാരണം കൊറോണ പടർന്നു പിടിച്ച ആദ്യകാല സമയങ്ങളിൽ ഹോമിയോയുടെ ഈ മരുന്നുകൾക്ക് വേണ്ടി ജനങ്ങൾ അങ്ങോട്ട് ചെന്ന്, എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു പല ഡോക്ടർമാരെയും ഡോക്ടർമാരുടെ അടുത്തോട്ട് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്ഥാപനങ്ങളുടെ അടുത്തോട്ട് രോഗികൾക്ക് ചെന്ന് പ്രതിരോധ മരുന്നുകൾ സ്വീകരിച്ച് അത് ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ അവർക്ക് ഒരു ആത്മവിശ്വാസം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അത് എത്ര പരിധിവരെ വിജയിച്ചു എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് പിന്നെ ചിന്തിക്കേണ്ട കാര്യങ്ങൾ. എന്നിരുന്നാലും ഹോമിയോപ്പതിക്ക് അത് ഒരു പരിധിവരെ അതിനെ തടഞ്ഞു നിർത്താൻ സാധിച്ചെന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നു. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഒട്ടനവധി അസുഖങ്ങൾക്കുള്ള ഒരു പ്രതിരോധ മരുന്നായി ചികിത്സയായിട്ടും ഹോമിയോപ്പതി മരുന്നുകൾ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. നമ്മുടെ പല വീടുകളിൽ ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചാലറിയാം, പല വീടുകളിലും കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങൾക്ക് അവർ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി മരുന്ന് തന്നെയാണ് കൊടുത്തുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഒരുപക്ഷെ അലോപ്പതി ഡോക്ടർമാരായ അവരുടെ പാരൻസിന്റെ മക്കൾക്കാണെങ്കിൽ പോലും പണ്ട് കാലം തൊട്ടേ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഈ കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ പോലും കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങൾക്ക് ആ ഹോമിയോ ചികിത്സയിൽ കൊടുക്കുമ്പോൾ അതിനെന്തോ സൈഡ് എഫക്ട്സ് ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടാകില്ല എന്നൊരു വിശ്വാസവും ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയുടെ ഒരു അക്സെപ്റ്റൻസും ആണ് നമുക്കവിടെ മനസ്സിലാകുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാ വീട്ടിലും ഇപ്പം ഒരു ആയുർവേദം പോലെ തന്നെയാണ് ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയും രണ്ട് കൈയും നീട്ടി സ്വീകരിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു നാടാണ് കേരളം. ആ തരത്തിൽ എല്ലാ ജനങ്ങളുടെ മനസ്സിലും ഹോമിയോപ്പതിക്ക് ഒരു വലിയ പങ്ക് തന്നെയുണ്ട്. ഈ വീണ്ടും നമ്മൾ ഈ ഹോമിയോയുടെ ഒരു നിരീക്ഷണ കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ കൂടെ കടന്നു പോകുന്നത്. ഇപ്പം കൊറോണയുടെ ആയാലും ഇനി വരാൻ പോകുന്ന പുതിയ വൈറസിന്റെ ആയാലും ഹോമിയോപ്പതിക്ക് വീണ്ടും വളരെയധികം വളർച്ച ഉണ്ടാകുമെന്ന് മനസ്സിലാകുന്നു. കാരണം അവർ വളരെയധികം നിരീക്ഷണങ്ങൾ കൂടി തന്നെയാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ കടന്നു പോകുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഭാവിയിലും വീണ്ടും നല്ല രീതിയിൽ പരീക്ഷണങ്ങളിൽ കൂടിയും പല രോഗങ്ങളെ കണ്ടെത്തുന്നതിനുള്ള എല്ലാ സഹായങ്ങളും ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ഉണ്ടാകട്ടെ എന്ന് ഈ ലോക ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ദിനത്തിന് ഭാരതീയ ചികിത്സാ വകുപ്പിന്റെ പേരിലും ഭാരതീയ ജില്ലാ ജീവനക്കാരുടെ പേരിലുള്ള ആശംസകൾ അർപ്പിക്കുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം. താങ്ക് യു മാം.
നന്ദി സർ. ഈ സെഷനിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുകയും നല്ല വാക്കുകൾ പറഞ്ഞതിനും അങ്ങയോട് ഞങ്ങൾ നന്ദി പറയുന്നു. താങ്ക് യു സർ. Now may I invite the Assistant Director, CCRH, Central Council of Research in Homeopathy, Dr. Praveen Oberoi, to address the session.
Dr. M.N. Vijayambika, Director, Department of Ayush, Dr. Rajan N. Khombaregde, Principal Secretary, Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Sharmila Mary Joseph, Secretary Ayush, Dr. Priya, Director, Department of ISM&H, and Dr. Sunil Raj, it is PCO, Dr. Babanji, Dr. Ajit, and Dr. Sunil Raj. A very good morning to all of you. First of all, with extreme pleasure, I extend my greetings to the entire homeopathy fraternity on World Homeopathic Day. Homeopathy is no less than a blessing to a mankind, being safe, economical, and palatable. It is fairly preferred system of medicine in India, and it is second in India, who is people are taking, and is used it is used in more than 80 countries around the world. Being an integral part of Ayush systems, homeopathy is promoted by Ministry of Ayush to assure its reachability in all parts of India, and ministry is equally dedicated to validate homeopathy through focused research, enhance its manufacturing and productive standards, as well as assure the best quality education in the homeopathy colleges. Government has been extending its support by way of granting aids to develop and promote infrastructure, qualified manpower, apart from the quality research initiatives. We are all aware of the fact that world over this day is celebrated in various ways, not only by homeopathy practitioners, but also by its users. Various homeopathic awareness events and homeopathy-based lectures are organized to remember Dr. Samuel Hahnemann in a righteous manner. Dr. Samuel, the man with gifted mind, was able to discover a system seeing the minor miseries of the ailing community as the hand and then at the then available medicine practices. No doubt then his discovery made sure that treatment is gentle and yet permanent. Kerala state is credited with a series of firsts in India in the development of homeopathy in its practice, education, research, and popularity. And it has contributed to various programs, and it is a pioneer in conducting the regular workshops, CMEs, and seminars for the benefits of doctors, students, and to popularize homeopathy in the state. Such seminar provides ideal platform to exchange knowledge about the latest advancements in science and bridge the gap between the education and practice. At present, the Kerala government is conducting projects in a multifaceted manner to make the utilization of this system and services among the public. For example, Cancer Hospital, which is treating hundreds of cancer patients of different stages homeopathically in the integrative approach at Vandoor, and the pain and palliative clinics through homeopathic home care done with the help of the ASHA workers. Kerala state is also blessed with the holiness of Swami Athar Das Ji, who established a homeopathic medical college at Kuruchi village, Kottayam in 1958. This is one of the oldest medical institutions in the country, started medical training course in homeopathy. A regional research center attached to the college was established in 1968 with grant and aid support from central government to encourage the research aptitude among the faculty of the students. The RRI was upgraded as Central Research Institute in the year 1982, enhancing the bed strength to 50. The Ministry of Ayush upgraded this institute to National Homeopathic Research Institute in Mental Health in the year 2016, and also granted permission to start academic programs such as MD Home, PhD, and BSc Nursing. The ministry is envisaged to latitude of the be of the national importance of homeopathy with excellence in education, outstanding patient care services, and state-of-art facilities. Now the institute possesses a total land of 9.37 crore acres of land and treating thousands of patients suffering from various types of behavioral disorder. And this is the time when integration is possible and the state and center can join their hands to work for the system in a better way. I am particularly delighted to see that the scientific sessions of the conference will have deliberations on the challenges and scope of homeopathic physicians engaged in the public health programs, which is the very apt for the current situation of COVID-19, which is a major health problem and issue of concerns for all of us. I am sure that the deliberations made during the conference will provide an opportunity to all the participants to interact with each other and come up with significant solutions. I sincerely believe such scientific conferences are an ideal platform for exchange of clinical expertise and sharing latest advantages in homeopathy with attendees like faculty members, practitioners, and students. I wish the organizers the very best in this and all the future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your inspiring words. Thank you very much, ma'am. May I invite the HomeCo MD in charge, Dr. Bobbin J, to address the session.
ബഹുമാന്യനായ ആരോഗ്യ വകുപ്പ് പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ സെക്രട്ടറി ഡോക്ടർ രാജൻ സർ, ആയുഷ് വകുപ്പ് സെക്രട്ടറി ഡോക്ടർ ഷർമിള മാഡം, ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഡയറക്ടർ.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Sir, sorry to interrupt. Ayush secretary. On this day, when we commemorate the birthday of Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, the presence and words of our Ayush Secretary, Dr. Sharmila Mary Joseph, was inspiring, and the instructions for the improvement of our system. Thank you, ma'am, for your presence. And we, the homeopathic community, are confident that under your guidance and support, we'll be able to rectify and improve our department activities. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, please continue, sir. Thank you, sir. Sorry to interrupt, sir.
Okay, sorry. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മളുടെ ബഹുമാന്യായ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഡയറക്ടർ വിജയാംബിക മാഡം, ഈ യോഗം അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ബഹുമാന്യരായ ഡോക്ടർമാർ, പാരാമെഡിക്കൽ ജീവനക്കാർ, അതുപോലെ പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ, നമുക്കെല്ലാവർക്കും അറിയാം ഏപ്രിൽ 10 എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി വൈദ്യശാസ്ത്ര മേഖലയെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം ഏറ്റവും സുപ്രധാനമായ ഒരു ദിവസം തന്നെയാണ്. ഈ ദിവസം നമ്മൾ എന്തൊക്കെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ ആലോചിക്കണം, എന്തെല്ലാം കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ ചർച്ച ചെയ്ത് തീരുമാനമെടുക്കണം, അതുപോലെ എന്തൊക്കെ കാര്യങ്ങൾ പ്രവർത്തിക്കണം എന്ന കാര്യത്തെ പറ്റിയൊക്കെ വളരെ വിശദമായി തന്നെ നമ്മളുടെ ഹെൽത്ത് പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ സെക്രട്ടറി നമ്മളോട് സംസാരിക്കുകയുണ്ടായി. ഈ കാര്യങ്ങൾക്കെല്ലാം ഉതകുന്ന വിധം തന്നെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ആദ്യം ഈ വേൾഡ് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഡേ സെലിബ്രേഷൻസ് പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്തിരുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ അതായത് വളരെ വിദഗ്ധരായ ആൾക്കാരെ ഉൾപ്പെടുത്തി ഒരു പാനൽ ഡിസ്കഷൻ അതുപോലുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം ഉൾപ്പെടുത്തിയിരുന്നു. പക്ഷെ നമ്മൾക്ക് നിലവിലുള്ള കോവിഡ് രോഗികളുടെ എണ്ണം വർദ്ധിച്ചു വരുന്ന സാഹചര്യം, അതുപോലെ തെരഞ്ഞെടുപ്പിന്റെ മോഡൽ കോഡ് ഓഫ് കോണ്ടക്ട് നിലവിൽ നിൽക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളെല്ലാം പരിഗണിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു സെക്രട്ടറി ലെവലിൽ നിന്ന് തന്നെയുള്ള ഒരു കർശന നിർദ്ദേശം വന്നതിന്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിലാണ് നമ്മൾ പൂർണ്ണമായും ഓൺലൈൻ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിലേക്ക് ഇത് മാറേണ്ടി വന്നതെന്നാണ് മനസ്സിലാക്കുന്നത്. അവസാന നിമിഷം വരെയും നമ്മൾ ഏകദേശം ഒരു 10-15 പേരെ ഉൾപ്പെടുത്തിയ ഒരു ഫിസിക്കൽ ഗ്യാതറിംഗ് ഉൾപ്പെടെ ഒരു ഹൈബ്രിഡ് ഈവന്റ് ആയിട്ട് തന്നെ ഇത് കണ്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യാനാണ് പദ്ധതി ഇട്ടിരുന്നതെങ്കിലും ഈ ഒരു ഓൺലൈൻ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിലേക്ക് മാറേണ്ടി വന്നു. വരും വർഷങ്ങളിൽ നമ്മൾ ഇത്തരം ഇതിനേക്കാൾ വളരെ ബൃഹത്തായ ഒരു പദ്ധതി തന്നെ ആലോചിച്ച് നടപ്പിലാക്കാൻ കഴിയട്ടെ എന്നാണ് ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ ഞാൻ പ്രത്യാശിക്കുന്നത്. ഏഷ്യയിലെ തന്നെ പൊതുമേഖലയിൽ പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്ന ആദ്യത്തെയും ഏറ്റവും വലുതുമായ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഔഷധ നിർമ്മാണശാലയാണ് ഹോംകോ, നമുക്കെല്ലാം അറിയാം. ഈ വേൾഡ് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഡേ സെലിബ്രേഷനോട് അനുബന്ധിച്ച് നടന്ന എല്ലാ പരിപാടികളിലും ഹോംകോയുടെ എല്ലാവിധ ആശംസകളും ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ ഞാൻ നേരുകയാണ്. അതോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി വകുപ്പിന്റെ ഭാഗമായി അതിന്റെ നല്ല ഒരു ബാക്ക് ബോണായി തന്നെ പ്രവർത്തിക്കാൻ ഹോംകോ എന്നും കൂടെ ഉണ്ടാകും എന്നും, അതുപോലെ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി വകുപ്പ് നടപ്പിലാക്കുന്ന പദ്ധതികൾക്ക് എല്ലാവിധ സഹായ സഹകരണങ്ങളും സപ്പോർട്ടും ഹോംകോയിൽ നിന്ന് ഉണ്ടാകും എന്നും ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ നിർത്തുന്നു. ചെയ്യും. താങ്ക് യു.
Nani sir, thank you very much sir. May I invite Dr. Thank you Bobin sir. Thank you very much for your words and presence. May I invite Dr. Ajit B.S., the Chief Editor of Indian IHK News and Institution of Homeopathy Kerala, to address the session. Dr. Ajit B.S.
Yes, it's audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir. Please continue.
Okay. വേൾഡ് ഹോമിയോപ്പതിക് ഡേ ആഘോഷിക്കുന്ന, ലോകം മുഴുവൻ ആഘോഷിക്കുന്ന ഈ വേളയിൽ നമ്മുടെ കേരളവും ആഘോഷിക്കുകയാണ്. ആ വേളയിലെ ആഘോഷവേളയിൽ ഇത്തരമൊരു സെമിനാർ എങ്ങനെ ഇവിടെ വന്നതിൽ ഞാനും വളരെയധികം സന്തോഷിക്കുകയാണ്. കൂടാതെ ഈ സെമിനാറിൽ പങ്കെടുത്ത വിശിഷ്ട വ്യക്തികളായ ഡോക്ടർ രാജൻ എൻ കോബ്രിഡ്ജ്, പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ സെക്രട്ടറി ഹെൽത്ത് ആൻഡ് ഫാമിലി വെൽഫെയർ, അതുപോലെ ഡോക്ടർ ഷർമിള മേരി ജോസഫ് IAS, സെക്രട്ടറി ഓഫ് ആയുഷ്, അത് നമ്മുടെ പ്രിയങ്കരിയായ ഡോക്ടർ NM വിജയാംബിക മാഡം, ഡയറക്ടർ ഓഫ് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി, അതുപോലെ ഡോക്ടർ പ്രവീൺ ഒബ്രോയ്, വേദിയിലും ഈ നമ്മുടെ ഈ ഫംഗ്ഷനിൽ ഇരിക്കുന്ന വിശിഷ്ട വ്യക്തികളും ഡോക്ടർമാരും, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ നാഷണൽ, ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ, സ്റ്റേറ്റ് ലെവൽ ഫാക്കൽറ്റികളാണ് നമ്മൾ അറേഞ്ച് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. അതിൽ നമ്മൾ സ്റ്റേറ്റ് നവീൻ കുമാർ, ഡോക്ടർ രജികുമാർ, അതുപോലെ നാഷണൽ ഫാക്കൽറ്റിയായ ഡോക്ടർ പ്രവീൺ ഒബ്രോയ്, ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ഫാക്കൽറ്റിയായ ഡോക്ടർ ഐസക് ഗോൾഡൻ ആൻഡ് ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ഫാക്കൽറ്റിയായ പ്രൊഫസർ ജോർജ് വിതോക്കസ്, ഇവരൊക്കെ ആശംസകൾ അറിയിക്കുന്നു. ഈ വേദിയിൽ, ഇത്ര ഒരു വേദിയിൽ ഇവിടെ വന്ന് നമ്മളോടൊപ്പം കൂടിയതിന്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ബുക്കുകൾ മാത്രം കണ്ടിരുന്ന, വായിച്ച് അറിയിക്കുന്ന ഡോക്ടർ ഐസക് ഗോൾഡന്റെയും അതുപോലെ പ്രൊഫസർ ജോർജ് വിതോക്കസിനെയും നേരിട്ട് കാണുകയും അവരുമായിട്ട് ഇന്ററാക്ട് ചെയ്യാൻ കഴിയുന്ന ഒരു അവസരമാണ്. വളരെയധികം സന്തോഷം തന്നെയാണ് നമുക്ക് കിട്ടുന്നത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഈ ഹനുമാൻ 265ാമത് ബർത്ത്ഡേയുടെ ആഘോഷ വേളയിൽ ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയുടെ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ ഏറെ തന്നെ വലുതാണ്, പ്രത്യേകിച്ച് കേരളത്തിലേക്ക്. അത് ഗവൺമെന്റ് സെക്ടറായാലും പ്രൈവറ്റ് സെക്ടറിലും വളരെയധികം നേട്ടങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നു. COVID-19 എന്ന മഹാമാരി വന്നതിന് ശേഷം വളരെയധികം എല്ലാ മേഖലകളിലെയും ബാധിച്ചിരുന്ന വേളകൾ പോലും ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയുടെയും നമ്മുടെ സിസ്റ്റത്തിൻ്റെയും പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ വളരെ വലുത് തന്നെയാണ്. അത് പ്രിവെന്റീവ് സെക്ടറിലായാലും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ മെഡിസിൻ കൊടുക്കുന്ന പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളിലും വളരെ നേട്ടം കൈവരിക്കുക തന്നെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ഈ നാഷണൽ, ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ലെവലുകൾ, വേൾഡിൽ എന്താണ് സംഭവിക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഇവിടെ പറയാനായി ഫാക്കൽറ്റികൾ നിറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അത് വളരെയധികം പ്രശംസാ വിഷയം തന്നെയാണ് ഈ പറയുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങൾ. പിന്നെ ഞാൻ IHK പ്രതികരിച്ചാണ് ഇവിടെ വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. IHK കുറിച്ച് 2 വാക്കുകൾ എനിക്ക് പറയാതിരിക്കുന്നു വയ്യ. ഏതായാലും 4500 ഹോമിയോ ഡോക്ടർമാർ ഉൾക്കൊള്ളുന്ന IHK എന്ന സംഘടന, ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ ഓഫ് ഹോമിയോപ്പത്സ് കേരള, 32 വർഷമായി തുടങ്ങിയിട്ട് ഇത്രയും നേരം പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്നു. ഏകദേശം 180ഓളം സ്റ്റേറ്റ് സെമിനാറുകൾ, മെഡിക്കൽ ക്യാമ്പുകൾ, CME പ്രോഗ്രാംസുകൾ, അതുപോലെ ചാരിറ്റി പ്രോഗ്രാംസ്, ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള പല പ്രോഗ്രാംസുകളും കണ്ടക്ട് ചെയ്ത് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി അപ്ലിപ്റ്റിന് വേണ്ടി എന്നും കൈകോർത്ത് നിൽക്കുന്ന ഒരു സംഘടനയാണ് ഇൻസ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷൻ ഓഫ് ഹോമിയോപ്പത്സ് കേരള, IHK എന്ന സംഘടന. ഏതായാലും ഈ ഒരു സംഘടനയുടെ ഒപ്പം ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഈ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾക്കെല്ലാം ഞങ്ങളൊപ്പം ഉണ്ട് എന്ന് ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ട് എല്ലാവിധ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളെയും ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി ആശംസിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ വാക്കുകളിലേക്ക് കേട്ടു.
സാർ മെൻഷൻ ചെയ്ത പോലെ നമ്മുടെ ഉച്ചയ്ക്കുള്ള അക്കാഡമിക് സെഷനിൽ നമ്മുടെ ബുക്കുകളിലും മറ്റും കണ്ടിട്ടുള്ള എല്ലാ വിശിഷ്ട വ്യക്തികളെയും ഒരു ഇന്ററാക്ഷൻ നമുക്ക് സാധിക്കുന്നു. അതിന് എല്ലാവരും മുഴുവൻ സമയവും ഇതിന് പാർട്ടിസിപ്പേറ്റ് ചെയ്യണമെന്നുള്ള അഭ്യർത്ഥനയും കൂടെ വെച്ചിട്ട് സാർ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ എല്ലാ വിവിധ സംഘടനകളും ഒത്തുചേർന്ന് നമ്മുടെ ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയുടെ ഡെവലപ്മെന്റിന് വേണ്ടി നമുക്ക് കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിക്കട്ടെ എന്ന് പ്രാർത്ഥിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് നന്ദി സർ. താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച്. Next, may I invite Dr. Anwar Rahman TK, the Kerala State General Secretary, Indian Homeopathic Medical Association, to address the session. Over to you, sir, Dr. Anwar Rahman TK.
Respected ICE Secretary Dr. Sharmila Madam, Principal Secretary Dr. Rajan Sir, Jiyambika Madam, Homeopathy Director, SMD Dr. Divya Madam, DMO Bijukumar Sir, PCO Dr. Praveen Obroi, വിവിധ DMOമാർ, അതുപോലെ ഈ ഓൺലൈൻ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിൽ പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന വിശിഷ്ട വ്യക്തികളെ, ഉച്ചയ്ക്കുള്ള സെഷനിൽ നമ്മോടൊപ്പം സംവദിക്കുന്ന ഇന്റർനാഷണൽ ഫാക്കൽറ്റീസ് ആയ ഡോക്ടർ ഐസക് ഗോൾഡൻ, അതുപോലെ ഡോക്ടർ ജോർജ് വിദോൾക്കർ. ഇന്നലെയാണ് ഈ ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രാം ഒരു പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ടും ഓൺലൈൻ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോമിലാണ് സംഘടിപ്പിക്കുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളൊരു തീരുമാനം വന്നത്. അത് ലോകത്തിന്റെ ഏത് കോണിൽ നിന്നുള്ള ഒരു ഫാക്കൽറ്റിക്കും ഈ പ്രോഗ്രാമിൽ നമ്മളോട് സംവദിക്കാനുള്ള ഒരു അവസരം ഈ വെബിനാറുകളുടെ ഒരു പ്രത്യേകതയാണ്. ന്യൂ നോർമൽ ഇറയുടെ ഒരു കണ്ടെത്തലാണത്. IHMA ഈ അവസരം ഉപയോഗപ്പെടുത്തുകയാണ്. കഴിഞ്ഞ കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ 350ഓളം വെബിനാറുകൾ ഈ കാലഘട്ടങ്ങളിൽ IHMAക്ക് സംഘടിപ്പിക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. കോവിഡ് സമയത്ത് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി സമൂഹം നേരിടുന്ന പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ എന്നുള്ള ഒരു പാനൽ ഡിസ്കഷനിൽ ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട ഡയറക്ടർ വിജയാംബിക മേഡം ആയിരുന്നു ആ പരിപാടി ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്തത്. കേരള ഹോമിയോപ്പതി എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് എന്നും ഒരു റോൾ മോഡൽ ആയിട്ടാണ് പരിഗണിക്കപ്പെടുന്നത്. ഇവിടെയുള്ള കേരളത്തിലുള്ള പ്രൈവറ്റ് ഡോക്ടർമാർ, ഗവൺമെന്റ് മെഡിക്കൽ ഓഫീസർമാർ, അതുപോലെ ആയുഷ് പ്രൈമറി ഹെൽത്ത് സെന്ററിലെ മെഡിക്കൽ ഓഫീസർമാർ, അതുപോലെ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി പ്രൊജക്റ്റുകൾ, സ്പെഷ്യാലിറ്റി പ്രൊജക്റ്റുകൾ, ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഇവരുടെ എല്ലാം ഒരു സംയുക്തമായിട്ടുള്ള പ്രവർത്തനത്തിന്റെ ഫലമായി ഹോമിയോപ്പതിക്ക് എന്നെന്നും തലയുയർത്തി നിൽക്കാൻ കഴിയുന്ന ഒരു സാഹചര്യമാണ് കേരളത്തിൽ നിലവിലുള്ളത്. ലോകത്തിലെ ഏറ്റവും കൂടുതൽ ആളുകൾ ആശ്രയിക്കുന്ന രണ്ടാമത്തെ ചികിത്സാ രീതിയായി ഇന്ന് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി മാറിയിരിക്കുകയാണ്. കോവിഡ് മഹാമാരിയുടെ ആദ്യ കാലഘട്ടങ്ങളിൽ ഗവൺമെന്റിന്റെ കോവിഡ് ബ്രേക്ക് ദ ചെയിൻ ക്യാമ്പയിനുകളിൽ IHMA സജീവമായി പങ്കെടുത്തുകൊണ്ടായിരുന്നു തുടക്കം. അതിനുശേഷം ഇമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി ബൂസ്റ്ററുകൾ വളരെ വലിയ രീതിയിൽ നമുക്ക് വിതരണം ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിച്ചു. ഇവിടുത്തെ ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റുമായിട്ടും അതുപോലെ റെസിഡൻഷ്യലുമായും സഹകരിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഹലോ കേൾക്കുന്നില്ലേ?
കേൾക്കാം സർ, പ്ലീസ് കണ്ടിന്യൂ സർ.
ഓക്കെ ഡിസ്റ്റർബൻസ് വന്നു. ഓക്കെ, ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞുകൊണ്ടിരുന്നത് ഈ ഇമ്മ്യൂൺ ഡിസ്ട്രിബ്യൂട്ടർ സമയത്ത് അതുപോലെ വിവിധ വകുപ്പുകളുടെ അഭ്യർത്ഥന പ്രകാരം കേരളത്തിലെ പോലീസ് ആണെങ്കിൽ പോലീസ്, ഫയർഫോഴ്സ്, അതുപോലെ വിവിധ വകുപ്പുകൾ, മീഡിയ തുടങ്ങിയ വിവിധ വകുപ്പുകളുടെ നിർദ്ദേശപ്രകാരം വലിയ വൻതോതിൽ IHMAയുടെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ ഇമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി ബൂസ്റ്റർ ഡിസ്ട്രിബ്യൂഷൻ നടത്താൻ സാധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ വിവിധ വകുപ്പ്
ഹോമിയോപ്പതി മൊബൈൽ യൂണിറ്റുകൾ
ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പൊ നേരത്തെ ആയുഷ് സെക്രട്ടറി സൂചിപ്പിച്ച പോലെ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ഇത് വൻ തോതിൽ ഇതൊരു സ്പ്രെഡ് ആവുന്നതിൽ നിന്ന് തടയാൻ ഒരു പരിധി വരെ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള സാധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഹോമിയോപ്പതി കോവിഡ്
കൊടുക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്.
ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയുടെ വകുപ്പിന്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ നടക്കുന്ന, അതുപോലെ IHMA നാഷണൽ കമ്മിറ്റിയുടെ റിക്വസ്റ്റ് പ്രകാരം 4.5 ലക്ഷം ഇമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി ബൂസ്റ്റർ മരുന്നുകൾ ബോംബെ പോലീസിന് വേണ്ടിയിട്ടും നമുക്ക് കൊടുക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ സംഘടന എന്നുള്ള നിലയിൽ ഈ കോവിഡ് ടൈമിൽ ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഈ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി വകുപ്പിന്റെ നേതൃത്വത്തിൽ നടക്കുന്ന ഈ ലോക ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ദിനാചരണത്തിന് IHMAയുടെ എല്ലാവിധ ആശംസകളും നേർന്നുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തട്ടെ. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം. താങ്ക് യു.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Anwar Rahman TK. നമ്മുടെ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റിന്റെ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളോട് ഒത്തുചേർന്ന് എന്നും എല്ലാ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി സംഘടനകളും കൈകോർത്ത് പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ നടത്താറുള്ളത് എടുത്തു പറയേണ്ട ഒരു വസ്തുത തന്നെയാണ്. Thank you so much, sir. Next, may I invite Dr. R. Sunil Raj, immediate past president, Kerala Government Homeopathic Medical Officers Association.
Okay. Respected Rajan Gobragade sir, Shamila Madam, Joseph Madam, Divya Madam, Praveen Obroy Madam, Vijayambika Madam, Robert Raj sir, well-known faculties, DMOs, all dignitaries and august audience. It's an honor for me to address you all on this occasion of 266th birthday celebrations of our Master Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, which is celebrated as World Homeopathy Day 2021. Homeopathic doctors all over the world are eagerly waiting for the success stories, research studies, research work of homeopathic fraternity in Kerala, especially Homeopathy department. For this, we are indebted to the governments of Kerala for giving us an opportunity to serve the people of Kerala through government homeo institutions from 1956 onwards. The medical officers, from the first appointed one to the recently joined one, are working hard, sincerely dedicated to unveil each and every opportunity we are getting. The hard work resulted in 35 homeo hospitals, homeopathic cancer care center, homeopathic fertility center, special project system, medicine, or panchayats, NHM dispensaries in Kerala. HMA took a pivotal role in the propagation of the system of medicine to the root level, to the tribal megalas, to rural areas, as Hahnemann wished for and dreamt. On behalf of HMA, I wish all to take steps to follow the teachings of our Master Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. In the world. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Once again, a gentle reminder to the participants, kindly put your device in the mute mode. ഈ സെഷന്റെ ഇടയ്ക്ക് കുറച്ച് ശബ്ദങ്ങൾ ഇടയ്ക്ക് വരുന്നുണ്ട്, അതുകൊണ്ട് അത് ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുക. പ്ലീസ് ഫോൺ മ്യൂട്ടിലാണ് എന്ന് ഒന്ന് എല്ലാവരും ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുക. നെക്സ്റ്റ്, മേ ഐ ഇൻവൈറ്റ് TK Anil Kumar, Kerala Government Homeo Pharmacist Organization. ശ്രീ TK Anil Kumarനെ ഈ സെഷനിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നു.
ഹലോ മാഡം. ഹലോ, കേൾക്കാമോ മാഡം?
കേൾക്കാം സർ, പറഞ്ഞോളൂ.
ഓക്കെ. ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട ആരോഗ്യ പ്രിൻസിപ്പൽ സെക്രട്ടറി ഡോക്ടർ രാജൻ സർ, ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട ആയുഷ് സെക്രട്ടറി ഡോക്ടർ ഷർമിള മേരി ജോസഫ് IAS, ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട CCR ഡയറക്ടർ പ്രവീൺ ഒബറോയ് മാഡം, ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഡയറക്ടർ ഡോക്ടർ വിജയാംബിക മാഡം, ISM ഡയറക്ടർ ഡോക്ടർ പ്രിയ മാഡം, മറ്റ് ബഹുമാന്യ വ്യക്തിത്വങ്ങൾ, ഹോമിയോപ്പതി കുടുംബാംഗങ്ങൾ, മറ്റ് ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയിലെ ബന്ധുജനങ്ങൾ, എല്ലാവരെയും KGHPO സംസ്ഥാന കമ്മിറ്റിക്ക് വേണ്ടി ആദ്യമേ തന്നെ അഭിവാദ്യം ചെയ്യുന്നു. ഈ ദിനത്തിന്റെ എല്ലാവിധ ആശംസകളും അർപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. അതിനിടെ കേവലം 2 നാൾ മുമ്പ് അകാലത്തിൽ പിരിഞ്ഞുപോയ നമ്മുടെ പ്രിയ സഹോദരൻ പത്തനംതിട്ടയിലെ ഫാർമസിസ്റ്റ് സുനിൽ കുമാർ ജിയുടെ ദീപ്ത സ്മരണയ്ക്ക് മുമ്പിൽ ഞാൻ ആദരാഞ്ജലികൾ അർപ്പിക്കട്ടെ. ബഹുമാന്യരെ, ഇന്ന് ലോക ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ദിനം. നമ്മുടെ ഈ സിസ്റ്റത്തിന്റെ ഫൗണ്ടറായ സ്ഥാപകനായ ഡോക്ടർ സാമുവൽ 260 ജന്മദിനം. ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ ഒരു വൈദ്യശാസ്ത്രം എന്ന നിലയിൽ, ഒരു സമ്പൂർണ്ണ വൈദ്യശാസ്ത്രം എന്ന രീതിയിൽ, ഒരു ചികിത്സാ ശാസ്ത്രം എന്ന രീതിയിൽ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി എവിടെ എത്തി നിൽക്കുന്നു, കേരളത്തിലെ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി എവിടെ എത്തി നിൽക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം നമ്മൾ ചിന്തിക്കേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. മാറി മാറി വരുന്ന സർക്കാരുകൾ നല്ല പ്രാധാന്യം നൽകി നല്ല രീതിയിൽ വളർത്തിയെടുത്തത് കൊണ്ട് തന്നെ തീർച്ചയായും നമുക്കറിയാം 57-ൽ തുടങ്ങി വന്ന കേരളത്തിൽ ഗവൺമെന്റിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് തുടങ്ങി വന്ന ഹോമിയോപ്പതി പ്രസ്ഥാനം, ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഡിപ്പാർട്ട്മെന്റ് ഇന്ന് വളർന്ന് എവിടെ എത്തി നിൽക്കുന്നു, കേരളത്തിന്റെ പൊതുജനാരോഗ്യ സംരക്ഷണത്തിൽ ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയുടെ പങ്ക് എവിടെ എത്തി നിൽക്കുന്നു എന്നതിനെ പറ്റി നമ്മൾ ചിന്തിക്കേണ്ടതായുണ്ട്. ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ ഏതാനും ചിന്തകൾ എല്ലാവരുടെയും അറിവിനായി, പരിഗണനയ്ക്കായി ഞാൻ പങ്കുവയ്ക്കാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുകയാണ്. നമുക്കറിയാം, ഇതിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം, ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം, ഏതൊരു വൈദ്യശാസ്ത്രത്തെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം, ഏതൊരു അറിവിനെയും സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം എന്നുള്ളത് പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ടതാണ്. നമുക്കറിയാം, ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഡോക്ടർമാരുടെ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒരു കാലത്ത് DHM-ൽ തുടങ്ങി. അതിനു മുമ്പുള്ളവരെ എന്തായിരുന്നു നമുക്കറിയാം. DHM-ൽ തുടങ്ങി, DHMS-ൽ തുടങ്ങി, ഇപ്പോൾ MD-യിലെത്തി നിൽക്കുകയാണ്. അതോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ നമുക്കറിയാം ഗവേഷണ രംഗത്തും ഒരുപാട് പഠന പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ നടന്നു വരുന്നുണ്ട്. എന്നാൽ പാരാമെഡിക്കൽ ജീവനക്കാരുടെ രംഗത്ത് ഞാൻ എല്ലാവരുടെയും പരിഗണനയ്ക്കായി, ചിന്തകൾക്കായി സമർപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. പാരാമെഡിക്കൽ രംഗത്ത്, പ്രത്യേകിച്ചും ഫാർമസി മേഖലയിൽ അതിന് അനുസൃതമായിട്ടുള്ള പരിഷ്കരണങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ടോ എന്നുള്ള എല്ലാവരും ചിന്തിക്കേണ്ട ഒരു വിഷയമാണെന്ന് ഞാൻ സൂചിപ്പിക്കാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇത് മിനിമം ഒരു ഡിഗ്രി ലെവലിലുള്ള വിദ്യാഭ്യാസമെങ്കിലും ഫാർമസി രംഗത്തും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നഴ്സിംഗ് രംഗത്തും എല്ലാം ഹോമിയോപ്പതി മേഖലയിൽ ഉണ്ടാവേണ്ടത് തീർച്ചയായും അനിവാര്യമാണെന്നുള്ള എല്ലാവരുടെയും ചിന്തയിലേക്ക് ഞാൻ കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുകയാണ് ഈ അവസരം. നമുക്കറിയാം, ഇവിടെ ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ചികിത്സാ രംഗത്ത് മറ്റൊരു പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട വിഷയം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, എല്ലാ രംഗത്തും നമുക്ക് ഒരുപാട് പ്രൊജക്റ്റുകളുണ്ട്, ഒരുപാട് പദ്ധതികളുണ്ട്. ഈ പദ്ധതികൾക്കൊക്കെ തന്നെ വേണ്ട രീതിയിലുള്ള ഡോക്യുമെന്റേഷനുകൾ നടക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ എന്നുള്ള കാര്യത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ ചിന്തിക്കേണ്ടതായിട്ടുണ്ട്. അതുകൂടാതെ തന്നെ ഗവേഷണ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾക്ക് കൂടുതൽ ഊന്നൽ നൽകേണ്ടതായിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്ന് നമ്മുടെ ഈ ഒരു ദിനത്തിൽ, ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ദിനത്തിൽ എല്ലാവരുടെയും സവിശേഷ ശ്രദ്ധ ഉണ്ടാകേണ്ട വിഷയമാണെന്ന് ഞാൻ ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ സൂചിപ്പിക്കാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുകയാണ്. ഒപ്പം നമ്മുടെ നേട്ടങ്ങളൊക്കെ റിവ്യൂ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ, ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള പ്രൊജക്ടുകളിലൂടെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ ശ്രമങ്ങളിലൂടെ ഇത്തരത്തിലുള്ള നേട്ടങ്ങളൊക്കെ റിവ്യൂ ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത്, അവലോകനം നടത്തുന്ന സമയത്ത് എല്ലാവരും എല്ലാ സമയത്തും അനുവർത്തിക്കുന്ന നയം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരേ പാരാമീറ്റേഴ്സ് ആണ് ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നത്. അലോപ്പതിയിൽ ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന അതേ പാരാമീറ്റേഴ്സ് ഉപയോഗിച്ചിട്ടാണ് നമ്മളെയും അളക്കുന്നത്. അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള അളവുകൾ പലപ്പോഴും തെറ്റുണ്ടാക്കുന്നുള്ളതിലേക്കുള്ള ഒരു വിഷയം, തെറ്റുകൾ ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ള ഒരു വിഷയം ഞാൻ എല്ലാവരുടെയും ശ്രദ്ധയിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരികയാണ്. എല്ലാവരുടെയും സവിശേഷ ശ്രദ്ധ ഈ വിഷയത്തിൽ ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയുടേതായ പാരാമീറ്റേഴ്സ് ഉപയോഗിച്ച് ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയെ അളക്കേണ്ടതാണെന്നുള്ള ഒരു അഭിപ്രായം എല്ലാവരുടെയും മുമ്പാകെ പങ്കുവയ്ക്കാൻ ഈ അവസരം ഉപയോഗിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇതുകൂടാതെ നമുക്കറിയാം, സർക്കാർ അംഗീകരിച്ച പല വൈദ്യശാസ്ത്ര മേഖലകൾ, അലോപ്പതി ആയാലും ആയുർവേദമായാലും ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ആയാലും എല്ലാം ഗവൺമെന്റിന്റെ ഭാഗമായിട്ട് പ്രവർത്തിച്ചു വരുന്നതാണ്. ഓരോരോ സന്ദർഭങ്ങളിൽ നമ്മുടെ വിവിധ സിസ്റ്റങ്ങൾ തമ്മിലുണ്ടാകുന്ന വിവിധ തരത്തിലുള്ള ആശയവിനിമയങ്ങൾ, അത് ആരോഗ്യകരമായ സൗഹാർദ്ദം ഉണ്ടാവേണ്ടതാണ്, ആരോഗ്യകരമായ സംവാദങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടാവേണ്ടതാണ്, ചർച്ചകൾ ഉണ്ടാവേണ്ടതാണ്. നമുക്കറിയാം, ഈ കോവിഡ് കാലഘട്ടത്തിലായാലും നിപ്പയുടെ കാലഘട്ടത്തിലായാലും അതിനു മുമ്പുള്ള പല സന്ദർഭങ്ങളിലായാലും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്ന ചർച്ചകൾ, ആരോഗ്യകരമല്ലാത്ത രീതിയിലുള്ള ചർച്ചകൾ പലപ്പോഴും പൊതുമധ്യത്തിൽ അവമതിപ്പ് ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ടുള്ളതാണ്. എല്ലാവർക്കും എന്നുള്ള കാര്യം എല്ലാവരുടെയും ശ്രദ്ധയിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരികയാണ്. തീർച്ചയായും ആരോഗ്യകരമായ സംവാദങ്ങളെ എല്ലാവരും സ്വാഗതം ചെയ്യുന്നതാണ്, എല്ലാവരും പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കുന്നതാണ്. അത് തീർച്ചയായും തിരുത്തലുകൾക്ക് വഴിയൊരുക്കുന്നതാണെന്നുള്ള കാര്യം കൂടെ എല്ലാവരുടെയും ശ്രദ്ധയിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ ഈ അവസരം ഞാൻ ഉപയോഗിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇത് മറ്റു പ്രദേശങ്ങളിലോ മറ്റു രാജ്യങ്ങളിലോ ഒന്നും കാണാത്തൊരു പ്രത്യേക രീതിയിലാണ് നമ്മുടെ നാട്ടിലൊക്കെ ഈ ചർച്ചകളൊക്കെ പോയിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. എല്ലാവരും തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും വിചിന്തനം നടത്തേണ്ട ഒരു വിഷയം കൂടിയാണെന്നുള്ള വിഷയം ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ സൂചിപ്പിക്കാൻ ഞാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുകയാണ്. മറ്റൊരു പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട വിഷയം എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്, നമുക്കറിയാം ഫിസിക്സിന്റെയും ബയോമെഡിക്കൽ എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗിന്റെയും ഒക്കെ കണ്ടെത്തലുകൾ, അവരുടെയൊക്കെ നേട്ടങ്ങൾ, അവരുടെയൊക്കെ കണ്ടെത്തലുകൾ, ഉദാഹരണത്തിന് സ്കാനിങ് ആയാലും ശരി, മറ്റു തരത്തിലുള്ള ആധുനിക ഉപകരണങ്ങളുടെ ഉപയോഗമായിരുന്നാലും ശരി, അതെല്ലാം തന്നെ എല്ലാ വിഭാഗം വൈദ്യശാസ്ത്ര മേഖലകൾക്ക് ലഭ്യമാക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത്, എല്ലാവർക്കും ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ ഉള്ള രീതിയിൽ ഇത്തരം ഉപകരണങ്ങളും ഇത്തരം സംവിധാനങ്ങളും ലഭ്യമാക്കുക എന്നുള്ളത് എല്ലാ അധികാരികളുടെയും ശ്രദ്ധയിൽ കൊണ്ടുവരേണ്ടതും അതിനനുസരിച്ചുള്ള ഇൻഫ്രാസ്ട്രക്ചറുകൾ ഒരുക്കണം എന്നുള്ളത് എല്ലാവരുടെയും ശ്രദ്ധയിൽ കൊണ്ടുവരേണ്ടതുമായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വിഷയമാണെന്നുള്ള കാര്യം കൂടി ഈ അവസരത്തിൽ സൂചിപ്പിച്ചുകൊണ്ട്, ഈ ഒരു ദിവസം ഹോമിയോപ്പതി രംഗത്ത് പുരോഗതിക്ക്, സർവതോമുഖമായ പുരോഗതിക്കും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ പൊതുജനങ്ങൾക്ക് അതിനനുസരിച്ചുള്ള ഗുണം കിട്ടുന്നതിനുള്ള എല്ലാവിധത്തിലുള്ള പുരോഗതി ഉണ്ടാക്കുന്നതിനുള്ള പൊതുസമൂഹത്തിന് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി കൊണ്ട് ഗുണമുണ്ടാകുന്നു എന്ന് ഉറപ്പുവരുത്തുന്നതിനുള്ള ഒരു അവസരമായും പുരോഗതിക്കുള്ള ഒരു ദിശാസൂചകമായും ഈ ഒരു ജന്മദിനം, ഈ ഒരു ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഡേ, ലോക ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ദിനം, അതിനുള്ള ഒരു ദിശാസൂചകമായി മാറട്ടെ എന്ന് ആശംസിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് എല്ലാവരെയും കേരള ഗവൺമെന്റ് ഹോമിയോപ്പതി ഫാർമസിസ്റ്റ് ഓർഗനൈസേഷന്റെ പേരിലും ഹോമിയോപ്പതിയിലെ പാരാമെഡിക്കൽ ജീവനക്കാരുടെ പേരിലും അഭിവാദ്യം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് എല്ലാവരെയും അഭിവാദ്യം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് നിർത്തുന്നു. നന്ദി, നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you, Sri T.K. Anilkumar. ഈ പരിപാടിയിൽ പങ്കെടുത്ത് നല്ല വാക്കുകൾ പറഞ്ഞതിന് നന്ദി പറയുന്നു. താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച്. നമ്മുടെ ഈ ബിസിനസ് സെഷൻ ആരംഭിക്കാൻ വൈകിയെങ്കിലും ചില ടെക്നിക്കൽ എറേഴ്സ്, ഇഷ്യൂസ് കാരണമായിരുന്നു ഇത് വൈകിയത്. എങ്കിലും നിശ്ചിത സമയത്തിനുള്ളിൽ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ബിസിനസ് സെഷൻ അവസാനിപ്പിക്കാനും നമുക്ക് സാധിച്ചു. നമ്മുടെ അടുത്ത സെഷൻ അക്കാഡമിക് സെഷൻ ആണ്. അത് ഒരു 5 മിനിറ്റിനുള്ളിൽ തന്നെ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും. There will be no delay to resume the session. So we shall begin the academic session in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Do I need?
No, sir, we are going to begin the session.
Should I begin?
Yes, sir. I'm just going to give a short introduction, sir. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As we have come to the end of the business session and moving on for the academic session, which is going to start now. The first delivery is by Dr. Naval Kumar Verma, advisor to the Ministry of Ayush. Welcome you, sir, to present the topic of role of Ayush in Indian health scenario. Sir, please take over.
Thank you, all of you, and I congratulate all my fellow colleagues on this auspicious day of the birthday of our great scientist of this era, Dr. Samuel Christian Frederick Hahnemann. So I welcome you all and congratulate you for working so hard during this COVID time, because when all physicians were away, when nobody had any treatment for the COVID, our alternative physicians and our homeopathic doctors were the frontline first warriors of this pandemic. So I congratulate and appreciate all of you on this day for fighting this pandemic in a very good way. Like Dr. Hahnemann also documented the great pandemic of London when there was a diarrhea, and it is documented in the British Parliament how homeopathy helped that pandemic also. As you all know, the world is changing, all over the world, the research is changing, the academic institutions have changed from in class to the digital world. And homeopathy is now going to give an important and very big role to the nation, our India, and to the international world. And you all know today World Homeopathic Day celebration is going on in Vigyan Bhavan today. And your organization invited me specifically, and I was so happy to interact all of you here digitally to share my few experiences and my vision with all of you so that we can together raise homeopathy to world level and to make it more scientific. And also I will update you how we are going to today's ministry's World Homeopathic Day stream is integrative medicine. Why we chose this topic is because when the COVID started, we had a big problem in starting homeopathic trials. And when I approached All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi, to start a trial for COVID, for homeopathy and COVID, there was a big problem all over the in ministries, in AIMS. But the AIMS, I would like to thank the director of AIMS Delhi for welcoming me and starting a big research in homeopathy to moderate to severe cases of COVID in AIMS Jhajjar. When we started this trial, that was the peak time when COVID was started, and we finished that trial successfully in All India Institute Medical Sciences. And today, in World Homeopathic Day, those outcomes are being shared. Very soon you will all come to know about those outcomes. In homeopathic group, there is 4 times less mortality in those severe cases. We categorize cases from mild, moderate, severe and critical. We just took moderate to severe cases, not critical cases. We gave homeopathy as an adjuvant to allopathy, and one group only allopathy, because they did not allow only homeopathy, and we also needed support of anesthesia people, medical specialist people, oxygen level and other gadgets which were available in their institute. So it was first of all, it was very difficult. First time in the history of homeopathy, homeopaths were allowed to work in ICU, and this is a very unique working experience I had. during the COVID time. In ICU, we monitored all those parameters of the modern science and maintaining individualization process of homeopathy, and that merger of science, technology, and homeopathy gave us a very good moral boosting for the future course of the researches. How our researches will be benefited. Our doctors and team of scientists who work there used to wear PP kit for 8 hours, and it was very tough working time when we worked there. And you know, it is you get dehydrated. It's so severe. You cannot urinate once you wear the kit, and it's a chance of getting COVID also. So it was very tough work, but today the result came out to be wonderful. Second thing, we are working with All India Institute of Medical Sciences. We are when I originated one idea of homeopathic nasod, which the talk is going on all over the world. I contacted All India Institute Delhi, how we can work on this model. Then homeopathy has also many alternative, more than 200 nasods already came out. But the institute is very scientific. Then we together made a committee. The ethical committee of AIMS also approved it, and Central Council for Research in Homeopathy also approved it. Now that NASOD is formed, and its animal trial toxicity and efficacy testing is going on. And very soon we will come up with a very good results and show to the world the most scientific way how homeopathy is coming up. And also, I would like to thank the management of your Kerala College for inviting me, and all of you for attending today's meet. And I wish and I hope all of you will have very good time, safe time, healthy time, and your families too get protected, and you protect the community also. You are the true warriors of the country. I salute all of you. Thank you very much.
For the wonderful delivery. It was an inspiration from the Ministry of Ayush, and also for the COVID warriors, and a grand message to the homeopaths to be a part of the health scenario. On behalf of the Department of Homeopathy, we extend a sincere gratitude for your participation, sir. Now we have the topic on Indian homeopathic scenario. I invite Dr. Praveen Oberoi, the Assistant Director of the Central Council of Research in Homeopathy. Madam, please. Madam, unmute ചെയ്തു.
The next topic today that we will be discussed in the academic session is the Indian homeopathic scenario by Dr. Praveen Oberoi, the Assistant Director to Central Council Research Homeopathy.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, session is started, but इधर आओ जल्दी से. ये खुल क्यों नहीं रहा? ये वो जूम कहाँ चला गया इसका? इसको नहीं आ रहा ना. ये इधर आ रहा है ना, बट आ नहीं रहा. पीपीटी मिल नहीं रही. Ma'am, there is some technical issue. I'm just opening it again. It is, I'm just opening. I'm not, it is getting disrupted. There is some technical issue. I'm just opening. Okay. Now you can hear me, na? I'm just opening my. Share. Thank you, Dr. Vijay Ambika, for inviting me for this session. And I will be discussing about the Indian scenario of homeopathy. And I will like to share my screen. Am I allowed to share my screen? Am I allowed to share my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, kindly share your screen, ma'am.
Is it visible?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming to the Indian homeopathic scenario, as we have already discussed in the morning session, that in homeopathy is one of the major Ayush system, second Ayush system, which is being utilized by the public. And coming to its beginning, it was initiated by in 1810 when some missionaries came to Calcutta and distributed homeopathic medicine. And in 1839, Dr. Martin John Berger was called in Punjab to treat the Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Later, he established his practice in Calcutta. In 1846, Surgeon Samuel Brooklyn, a retired medical officer, started homeopathic hospital in South India. And in 51, in 1851, Dr. John Hunter Litter, Deputy Governor of Bengal, started a homeopathic hospital and a free dispensary. And there, Dr. Tonnier, a French allopath converted to homeopath, was the physician in charge. In 1880s, Dr. P.C. Majumdar and Dr. D.N. Roy laid the foundation of Calcutta Homeopathic Medical College. And Homeopathy Inquiry Committee was formed in 1948 when Government of India constituted Homeopathic Inquiry Committee. And this HEC recommended Central Homeopathy Council in 1949. Homeopathic Advisory Committee was initiated in Planning Commission by the Planning Commission in 1951 when they appointed a committee to advise on homeopathic matters. In 54, Homeopathic Advisory Committee was formed under the chairmanship of Secretary, Ministry of Health. And committee advised the government on all the matters pertaining to homeopathy, including education, research, regulation of practice, pharmacopoeias, drug manufacture, hospitals and dispensaries, etc. And the beginning of research was initiated in 1969 when Government of India establishes the Central Council for Research in Indian Medicine and Homeopathy. Homeopathic Central Council Act was established in 1973 when Act was established to provide the constitution of Central Council of Homeopathy and maintenance of a central register of homeopathy. Central Council of Homeopathy formed in 1974 to regulate homeopathic education and practice. Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia Laboratory was also established in 1975, and the various activities for setting up the quality standards in the form of Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia of India. And there was also drug testing was to be conducted, where the laying down of standards, drug testing, drug tenses, survey of samples, verification of standards, training programs, dissemination of technical programs, screening of foundations, drug evaluation and pharmacological screening was also to be conducted, besides cultivation of plants. So Department of Ayush was constituted in 1995 when it was Department of Indian System of Medicine and Homeopathy formed under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Previously, it was under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Then it was in 2003 renamed as Department of Ayush, where Ayurveda, Yoga, and Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha, and Homeopathy were the components of Ayush. In 2002, National Policy on Indian System of Medicine was and Homeopathy was formulated, and in 2014, it was renamed as the Ministry of Ayush when the government gave it a separate ministry, where ministry is taken a charge of all the Ayush systems. So the strategic advantages of India are that we have already known by the sources that there are human resources where we are having trained homeopathic practitioners, infrastructure, maximum number of homeopaths, colleges, and manufacturers, drug manufacturers. Legislature recognition of the government by the inclusion of homeopathy in Drugs and Cosmetics Act and other laws related to practice. Acceptance, patients population prefers homeopathy. Institutionalization in the form of educational institution, research organization, drug manufacturers, professional associations, etc. And the standards, development of standards of drugs and drug regulation promoting safe use, standards of education and standards of practice. So we see that medical pluralism is already available in the independent Ministry of Ayush for support of supervision and development. Ministries supervising and established autonomous research councils to undertake organized researches like CCRH, CCRAS, CCVARIOM, and CC Siddha for Siddha also, and established statutory councils to regulate medical education and registration of practitioners of these systems in homeopathy through CCIM for Ayurveda and Siddhas. Established National Institute of each system, and statutory provisions have been made to ensure the quality and safety of drugs in the Drug and Cosmetic Act, updating of pharmacopoeia, that is GMP, etc. Besides, though the various homeopaths are being treated all over India and globally also, but homeopathy is facing unusual challenges. Sometimes various reports are coming. The homeopathy is not acting, homeopathy is acting as a placebo, then an NHMRC report from Australia. This is being done at various times. Since beginning, we are hearing for the homeopathy system of medicine. Why these people are looking, the target of this type of image is to distort the image of homeopathy in public among policymakers and the funding agencies, and to reduce the number of prescribers and to reduce the research fundings. So the global scenario of homeopathy on the international paradox, we see that quality researches are lacking and attacks are more. Attacks from the various institutions are more. So existing homeopathic knowledge, we see research is having a very low area, the persons who are conducting research. Then personal experiences, because practitioners are more, then trial or error method, then authority, and then the tradition, which is existing in a very big form. Because people are like ancestors are giving the medicines, they are also repeating the same thing. So it is going on like this. But what is required is that research is to be conducted more. That is, expert opinions, case reports, cohort studies, RCTs, and systemic reviews are to be conducted more. So seeing the SWOT analysis of homeopathy in India, we can have the strengths. We already know that it is a legalized homeopathic system of medicine. We are having sufficient infrastructure, institutionalization, government support, independence of decision making. Users of homeopathy are more. Then skilled manpower is there, established drug industry is there, But at the same time, we are having the weaknesses also. There is no unity, clarity among the stakeholders, inadequate research base to complement the research clinical success, individualist versus systemic developments, and quality of education. There is no critical thinking about that. We are also having some opportunities that India has become the strategic bearer for the development of homeopathy and need to utilize the potentials of abundant human resources in mobilizing availability and acceptance of homeopathy. And the threats we have already seen, there are repeated attempts for defaming the homeopathy and questioning the usage by the public, attempts to distort the image of homeopathy in public, and overpowering of system by the overcome forces. We're seeing the globalization of Ayush systems. It has Ayush information says there are 28 in 28 countries, and country to country MOUs have also been signed. India signed 15 MOUs with various countries, and institute to institute MOUs have also been signed in 16 countries, and academic chairs have been also established in 11 countries, where Armenia has been given for the homeopathic chair. On looking to what we have all to do in the multidimensional research activities, there are various programs which can be conducted because everyone is practicing so hard and they are putting all their efforts in various in treating the patients. But when we come to the writing those papers into the so that it can be disseminated to the public and for the profession, there are very few papers, because of which we are having need of research is great. So cultivation of medicine plants is a must, because we need to import and export the plants, medicinal plants, that will be giving us revenue also. And drug standardization is required, drug proving, because once Hahnemann did the provings, after that very few provings have been done, and clinical verification of the proved drugs is required. Clinical research is the major area and backbone of every system that has to be conducted. Epidemic management is a must, because whenever any epidemic is occurring, homeopaths are getting very little chance to cope into it. We have to obtain the permissions from that, whereas the strategies should be that automatically whenever any epidemic is occurring, we should work for it, and we should be allowed to give our preventives like genus epidemicus and all. And documentation and publication is very necessary. And since we are not having sufficient manpower for the conducting evidence-based in vivo and in vitro studies, collaborative studies are also taking important, where we are, wherein we have to have the facilities of the already developed institutes to have the maximum utilization of the infrastructure which is available in the institute in the India, and we can have a collaboration and on the this for the researches to be conducted on fundamental and basic researches, which will give an thought to allopathic or conventional system, and also to the persons who are defaming homeopathy, that yes, homeopathy has an evidence-based action line of action in its own. Conducting research, seeing the research scenario in India, I have already told that there are many practitioners, but research is being not conducted in much form. ECRH has a vision to promote the research that contributes towards improving public healthcare in the country and contributes to development and acceptability of the homeopathy globally, with a mission to conducting a scientific and ethical research, thereby enhancing success rate of clinical practice, promoting safe, quality assured and effective treatment in healing care, healthcare delivery, and ensuring global acceptance of homeopathy, which is very important. So we are having various research private sectors in the homeopathy, like Gaurang Clinic, Homeopathic Research Center, Lucknow, and Dr. R.P. Patel Homeopathy, Vadodara, Dr. Parikh's Homeopathic and Research Center, Agra. Besides that, there is Dr. Dhavle Memorial Trust at Mumbai, Association of Homeopathic Research, Mumbai, Navjyoti Police Foundation, Delhi, Public Research and Development Foundation, Mumbai, Dr. Prasanta Banerjee's Homeopathic Research Foundation in Kolkata. Though all these persons are conducting research, and they are being given the grant also from the, they are taking the grant from the under the extramural research schemes, where the person who wants to conduct the study can get the grant also for conducting those studies from the Ministry of Ayush. And for that, they have to have a research background also. And there are various government sectors which are conducting research. One is the Central Council for Research in Homeopathy, the National Institute of Homeopathy, Government of India, Delhi Homeopathic Research Council under the Delhi government, and postgraduate colleges under state governments. All these persons, because nowadays it is also essential that every MD or UG student has to undertake the various research projects, various programs they have to undertake as a part of their thesis. It is very important that our teachers and guides also must know and have the update knowledge of the researches to be conducted, because they are also applying for the under the STSH program of the council also, and MD scholarship program of the council also, where we are seeing that lot of students are applying and they are giving a very good results also, conducting very good studies under the able guidance of the research of their teachers. And the students are also very intelligent and they want to do something more for homeopathy, and we should as a stakeholders make their efforts fruitful and make them, guide them in a proper direction, so that their program or their thesis is accepted for getting the scholarship, which gives a boom to them. Though the council has conducted various researches in clinical part, clinical verification, drug proving, then collaboration research also, and there are all these researches have been published in the various peer and international and international peer review journals. Because of the paucity of time, I will take only few of the studies as per the recent pandemic of COVID-19. I will show you the contribution of CCRH in the COVID-19 pandemic, where we want to show what CCRH has done for the pandemic, of course, with the help of all the state where the medicine was to be distributed. First of all, we have given the advisory to the government of India to take the arsenic album, which was decided by the scientific advisory board of the council. And thereafter, we have taken 18 studies, out of which 13 have been concluded, and total out of which prophylactic was 7 and add-on homeopathy was also 7. We have also conducted preclinical 4 studies, and publications, manuscripts were also have been drafted. And of these, they have been submitted. We have asked to submit by the Ministry of Ayush, who has developed a task force committee who is examining and reviewing the proposals. All the studies were reviewed from time to time by the Ministry of Ayush task force committee, and thereafter the studies which have been completed are being evaluated. The first study is effective of arsenic album 30 in the prevention of COVID-19 individuals residing in hotspot of red zones in Delhi. This was a comparative cohort study, and the results were analyzed for 10,000 patients, where intervention was given to 6,590 and control was about 3,590. Because whenever we want to say patients have the patients consent form is a must on, because while conducting any research we have to have the consent of the patient. So the patients wanted to have the prevention. At that time nobody wanted that I should be devoid of any benefits of the government which is being provided. So the number of the patients who had intervention was more than the control group. Then population was compared at baseline with respect to all the ages, and before intervention, they were confirmed and suspected COVID-19 cases in the treatment group was 117, that is 1.77%, and in the control group it was 0.25 out of 3,588 respectively. The results of this study indicated that the incidence rate in the intervention cohort per 10,000 persons week is 8.3, while the non-intervention cohort it is 45.01. And 5.5% comorbidity persons were affected with COVID-19 in control cohort, whereas in medicine cohort, 0.5 got the COVID infection. So results are indicated as a statistically significant. Next study is effectiveness of homeopathic arsenic album 30 in prevention of COVID-19 individuals residing in hotspots areas of red zones. That was a multicentric randomized cluster level control trial, and it was to compare the effectiveness of arsenic album on incidence of COVID-19 in quarantine individuals between the groups. And analysis was done for the 32,000 population which was covered under this study. And before intervention, the confirmed and suspected COVID cases in treatment group was 0.6%, and in the control group it was 0.86. The results of this study also showed that the reported confirmed and suspected COVID-19 cases in treatment group was reduced from 0.61% to 0.07% as compared to control group, and it was decreased from 0.86 to 0.36. Incidence rate in the intervention cohort per 10,000 person week is 6.04, while for non-intervention cohort it was 29.78. This was a huge difference, and the 0.5% of cases with comorbidity were COVID-19 in medicine cohort, whereas in control cohort 1.2% cases with got COVID-19 infection. Then we conducted the analysis of these approximately 7 lakh individuals who consumed arsenic album 30 as mass prophylaxis in the period of February-August after 21 days of observation period. This data has been collected from various colleges of 50 colleges of 13 states and 35 districts, where all the colleges were instructed to distribute preventive medicines and send us the data for the study. And here we can see that the persons who were the suspected cases, they had some of the patients have myalgia, fatigue, cough and sore, and fever was there in some of the patients. But fever, then we can see the percentage of fever, cough and running nose, fatigue. These were the symptoms of suspected cases. And the comorbidities, we can see comorbidities in the COVID-19 suspected plus confirmed population. You can have the results of these also. This manuscript has also been submitted to mentor for approval. Mass prophylaxis against COVID-19 in Delhi prisons. This was the study where CCRH in collaboration with Directorate of Ayush, Government of Delhi distributed arsenic album 30 to approximately 21,000 inmates of Delhi prison complexes at Tihar, Mandoli and Rohini in the phased manner during the months of June, July and August. Of the total inmates who have consumed arsenic album 30, 256 inmates developed COVID-like symptoms and only 7 were COVID positive. These are the results of the study outcome in phase 1, 2 and 3 manner. You can see the effect of arsenic album where old inmates and new inmates both were given the medicines. So possible interpretations of the study results, all the study results in the preventive manner, we can say that the effect of arsenic album was interpreted from 3 studies conducted in 2 different setups. 2 studies, high risk population in containment zone and 1 in general population in different parts of country. The results are consistent over different time period and population of cultural and health practices. The medicine consumed group has less clinical COVID case in comparison to the control group. This may be due to decrease in the infection rate, and the medicine is able to decrease the clinical case and aiding recovery without the sequelae. These results warrant promotion of use of arsenic album 30 widely in the public. Then it was a study which was conducted on effectiveness of individualized homeopathy as an add-on to standard treatment of COVID, a multicentric randomized parallel arm single blind placebo controlled study. And study was conducted to compare the effectiveness of homeopathic treatment as an add-on to standard care in the COVID-19 infection. This study was conducted in Bhopal Hospital, Government Medical College, Bhopal, and where the patients were given the medicine as an add-on therapy. And the result of these studies indicated that the patients in the medicine group got relieved of symptoms 2 days earlier, And the resolution of fever was 20 hours earlier in add-on homeopathy group. There was 61% decrease in CRP level and add-on in the add-on group, while 21% decrease was observed in standard care alone. The results are statistically significant. Then another study is that homeopathy as an adjuvant to standard care protocol in home management of coronavirus infection, and it was a randomized placebo-controlled open-label study conducted at Ruby Hall Clinic Pune, KEM Hospital Pune, and YCM Hospital Pune. And data of 200 patients was seen. The death rate in the SC plus homeopathy group, standard care plus homeopathy medicine group, was 1.33%, while it was 8% in SC plus placebo group. And a significant number of patients improved in standard care plus homeopathy group compared to standard care plus placebo group by 10th day of treatment. This was a comparative study which was conducted. We identified homeopathic medicines in asymptomatic COVID individuals receiving standard protocol, and it was an open label randomized placebo controlled trial. And this was the primary objective was to see the effectiveness of 3 homeopathic medicines, arsenic album, camphor, and bryonia, on the asymptomatic COVID-19 patients, individualized individuals who received standard treatment protocol. The results of the study, this exploratory study revealed that the patients in arsenic group had earlier tendency to RT-PCR negative compared to other groups. However, the results were statistically significant with all the medicines which were prescribed to the patients. This is the study which sir was telling. Dr. Naval has already explained about the study which was conducted in collaboration with the CCRH, where CCRH persons had visited the AIMS Jhajjar Center, and they stayed over there for 15 days. And then they were 15 days, they were quarantined. Like this, 2 doctors of ours were working on this project, and the results of these studies are being analyzed, and we will be able to, but in the preliminary interim results, we can say, yes, the homeopathic medicines in the group where the patients were treated in the ICU were having better role than the patients who were only on the homeopathic group, allopathic group. An evaluation of COVID-19 treatment with adjuvant homeopathy in Gujarat state was also done. This was done to assess the homeopathic treatment in early relieving of symptoms, lesser stay in hospital, and preventing complications, which was observed. The council has also evaluation of standard treatment guidelines in homeopathy by the, which is a need of the hour as such, because whenever patients are being given treatment homeopathically, when they have to be referred, when they have to have an add-on therapy, because red flag signs and symptoms are must, which are required to be seen, observed by the patients by their knowledge of medicine, and they have to be referred to the other system of medicine wherever they are having better cure, if at all. Otherwise, it won't be ethical for doing the patients. And these SDGs explain all the conditions when they are treating, what they have to treat, and when the red flag symptoms, when they have to refer. Today also we have released a standard treatment guidance, 3rd volume. We have released today also. Then we are, with rising evidence, infrastructure, and popularity, homeopathy is clearly in India is too big to be ignored. This we can say because lot of persons are there who are practicing homeopathy, lot of population is there who is receiving homeopathy. There are n number of allopathic physicians also who are believing homeopathy that it is acting, but how it is acting, that is to be seen. So scientists and skeptics are left no option but to either like it or hate it. While those who could see in homeopathy evidence of this new era, science have accepted homeopathy at least for the research reasons, and found encouraging results. While those who do not want to see the building evidences for homeopathy as a node of science, where they are trying to defame homeopathy by flawed statements and press releases, and thereby scaring the public against its usage. इसमें slides hang हो गई हैं, रुको, विशाल। Hang हो गया। The major things I have already told you, and my two of the last 2 or 3 slides are left, where I want to say that all the medicines research is a challenge which we have to accept in the ये वाली slide लेनी है, आ नहीं रही ना, where we have to say that research is a challenge, and these challenges have to be accepted by all of us and contribute in a collaborative way, as it is to be. My screen is visible. The major challenges what we are facing are the drug standardizations. Drug standardization, new drug discoveries, and their market authorization. In that sense, the homeopathy industry owns the biggest responsibility. Homeopathy is a good medicine, but it needs equally good quality research for the world to say no, world to say so. It is for the industry to understand this sensitive responsibility and come forward to shoulder it. So in the last, I would like to thank the organizers once again and request to collaborate with our institute, which is available in the Kottayam. There are various, this is a very big land the state government has provided us, and it can be utilized in a better way, better form by the collaboration of all of us, because conducting research is the duty of everyone nowadays. And if everyone is contributing in one or the other way, the profession will be benefited. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
It was indeed an enlightening talk, madam. In the midst of numerous challenges homeopathy is facing, the favorable environment for an integrated multidisciplinary approach in health scenario and the conducive arena for the health departments to act synergistic with the state governments and the government at the center. The opportunity for medical pluralism should be utilized. The research platform offered by the Central Council of Research in Homeopathy reflects the scope of homeopathy even in the recent pandemic. Your talk was indeed inspiring along these lines, and thank you, madam, for presenting so well the Indian homeopathic scenario. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Next, may I invite Dr. Rejikumar R. Nair, State Nodal Officer, Quality, Department of Homeopathy, to discuss on the topic, the Kerala Model Homeopathy Kerala. Dr. Rejikumar R. Nair.
Would you please ask Dr. Praveen to stop screen sharing so that I can share this?
I'm doing the same. I'm doing the same.
Yes, madam. Please.
It's okay now?
Yeah, good. Hope it's
Thank you,
okay.
Doctor. Thank you.
Okay. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all those who are at your respective locations. Myself, Dr. Rajigumar. I'm privileged and I'm thankful to the Department of Homeopathy under the State Department of Ayush in Government of Kerala to give me this opportunity to present before you the Kerala model of homeopathy. What are its challenges? What are its opportunities? So here we go with the presentation. Warm welcome to all of you. Hope all of you might have heard that Kerala was traversing through the twin disasters. First disaster being the 2018 floods, followed by the pandemic disaster that you all know, which the world is experiencing globally. So resilience has been the term with respect to Kerala being the God's own country, with respect to the population as well as its countrymen. All people were actually trying to move back to forget the trauma of the disasters and rebuild the Kerala into a new state. Now, we have conducted the post-disaster need assessment, which which actually estimated the loss to be around 30,000 crores, and the estimate was done by World Bank. And of course, Ayush department in general and homeopathy department in particular had also had lot of damages caused during the floods. And during the pandemic, the economic burden and the loss will yet to be assessed. Homeopathy in Kerala, I'll just give you a glimpse of what happened over the last century in Kerala homeopathy. It started its early beginnings with 1920 cholera outbreak when Dr. M.N. Pillai, he was in the Srimulam assembly. He started discussing with the then Chief Minister, E.M. Shankaran Namboodiripad. After that, he started the first dispensary in government setup in Kerala, that was in Thiruvananthapuram. And around more than 60 years before that first dispensary started, now we are having around 1,000 dispensaries along with state funded as well as National Health Mission funded dispensaries. In 1943, we got recognition and got included in TC Medical Act. And Dr. M.N. Pillai can be considered as the pioneer homeopathy in Kerala, who was actually the visionary behind the whole development of homeopathy across the state. And Dr. A.R. Menon, who was also an allopathic doctor, he was the health minister at that time. And that shows the inter-system integration, that is the healthy relationship that has happened, whether it is between modern medicine, whether it is between Ayurveda, or whether it is between other systems of Ayush. And our Raja Pramukh at that time, 1955, he was mentioning much price about homeopathy, mentioning that homeopathy has been an important system according to his knowledge and belief. Now, this is with respect to the structural framework in a state, which you may be aware, but this is for the information of dignitaries who are attending abroad. We have around 1,160 institutions in Kerala, which is in fact the best available institutional framework in any part of the country. And when compared to the allopathy and when compared to Indian systems of medicine also, we have very good number of dispensaries. If we can go through the number of dispensaries, we can see that when ISM or the other system, Ayush systems have 1,107 dispensaries, we also have around 1,103 institutions at the primary level, which is also along with the state funded and the National Health Mission funded institution, as I have mentioned before. Now coming to the 13th five-year plan, which actually projected the estimate of outlay with respect to financial, when we see that limited number of resources with respect to financial resources we are getting in terms of the other department. But when we compare it with the output, that is in terms of our key performance indicators, whether it is inpatient or whether it is outpatient, we can see that we are working hard to enhance our efficiency with the limited input. Only for this reason, I have selected this statistics. Now, while analyzing the development of homeopathy, we can take a life cycle approach wherein we will be just going through the vision, current state assessment, future state definition, implementation approach, development of IT system, operation and sustainability of the project. And all these are happening with the help of the project management, whether it is at the directorate level, whether it is at the National Health Mission level, or whether it is at the National Ayush Mission level. And the change management and communication that we are bringing in. Because even though homeopathy is much accepted in many parts of the state, there are still pockets where homeopathy knowledge has not yet been impregnated or it has not been percolated. So we are going through that work of change management and communication, and also the change management with respect to the behavior change communication among the people. This is our vision: ensure provision of quality healthcare service through a standardized homeopathic management to the people of Kerala. And we have a mission to give equitable access, affordable and accountable to the people of Kerala with respect to homeopathic service delivery. And we have mentioned our broad objectives in detail. And now coming to the innovative projects that we have in our state. Of course, most of you will be aware about the very high praised fertility care center in our state that was actually started pilot in 2011, and it has been developing over the last few years to a center of excellence. And the state government has decided to establish a center of excellence exclusively for the fertility care. And when it is established completely, it will be the state-of-the-art type, and it will be the one of its kind across the globe, giving exclusive homeopathy care for the fertility assistant. And these are the happy couples who have been satisfied with the homeopathic treatment. And we have scientific database to validate all these findings as well. And the economic survey by the Government of India, Ministry of Finance, they have published it in 2018-19. They have showcased Janani as a very good exemplar in which the system of homeopathy is gaining acclaim in the state of Kerala. And this is yet another initiative of our state wherein we have an exclusive specialty care hospital at Malappuram, which is actually the state-of-the-art facility, which is having almost facilities similar to any private hospital that is offering similar services. And we have a very good number of patients being benefited from the treatment of this. We have similar projects being scaled up, just like the cancer project at Malappuram. We have scaled up it to other districts as well in the name of Chetana Palliative Care Program. And we also have the very important first gender-based program, which is Seethalem. And this program was actually a milestone, because at times when we were mentioning about the sustainable development goals with respect to the the child development as well as the women development, this social inclusion of women has been in the forefront, whether it is in the history of cultural heritage of Kerala or in other scenarios as well. So Kerala was able to showcase this with respect to the homeopathic scenario with the first gender-based program. And we are having a full lady team consisting of medical officers, consultant psychiatrists, psychologists, legal self-help, and they are providing legal aid to persons who are affected with domestic violence and other rape victims as well. And we have another project, Sadgamaya, which is giving showcasing the importance of homeopathy in terms of adolescent care, especially in terms of learning this. Where we'll be giving not only counseling but also treatment and homeopathic intervention. During the time of floods, we actually witnessed the fear wave was also going in the minds of children, especially at places where there were landslides. So homeopathic counseling under Sadgamaya was actually a boon for them. We were able to manage and relieve their stress. And during the pandemic, what we did, instead of when the students, they were stuck in their home without having any offline education, when they were having their online education, we were providing the helping hand of homeopathy also with possibility of counseling. And Ayushman Bhava is another project wherein we are actually showcasing the efficacy of homeopathy in terms of lifestyle diseases management. And we are having scaled up units at all districts. Reach is another program where we are having actually a structured system. Actually, this can be considered as the first public-private partnership model that can be available anywhere in homeopathy in terms of epidemic control. So it was devised as a rapid action mechanism, even in the case of dengue, chikungunya, cholera, and in the latest pandemic, Reach is functioning well to achieve its norms. Punarjani is another project where we are actually focusing on the de-addiction part, wherein we have actually developed a protocol for the intervention by ASHA, and it has to be implemented as per the permission. And we are also integrating with allopathic family health centers as well as the Vimukti program under the excise department, which is actually controlling the beverages and other parts in our country. Then coming to the transgender community, we have another indigenous program, that is Nisarga, which was actually piloted in the capital city of Kerala in Trivandrum. And when it is successful, it will be scaled up to other districts as well. As of now, it is in the incipient stage, it is in the infancy stage. And this is another successful venture wherein we were able to reach out to the remote hamlets, especially in terms of the tribal areas. This photograph is from Idiki, wherein the doctors and the paramedics they have to along the mountain path to provide medical care to the remote areas, because the vehicle will not go to that extent even with this different vehicles. And 23 tribal settlements were treated with assistance from National Ayush Mission as well, and the project is ongoing. And we have also another innovative program which is known as the floating dispensary, wherein we, just like the mobile medical unit at the tribal area, we are here giving the floating mobile medical unit, which is providing not only medical care but also awareness to homeopathy on definite intervals, so that at each particular points, patients will be waiting to get their homeopathic treatment done. And now you might recollect what our Principal Secretary Rajan sir has mentioned with respect to the data collection and the homeopathic information management system that we are having. So we are having a standalone information management system which actually gives data on a snapshot on what are the parameters like outpatient, inpatient, project patient entry, and also it has more levels of action, just like asset management, just like accounts management. But primarily it is giving information with respect to the patient database that is available. And the peculiarity is that each and every new patient that is coming to the dispensary is coded according to the international classification of diseases, and then it is entered into this system, so that at a single click, the director or the health secretary or the Ayush secretary can have an information on how many diabetes mellitus cases have attended in the OPD today, as of now, in a particular remote area, which is far away from the state secretary or state capital. So that is the importance of this Ayush information system. It has a back end as well as a front end available for the public also, so that it gave some information just like this with respect to the homeopathic immune booster distribution. You can see that almost 64% of state population has consumed homeopathic immune booster in the first dose. And with respect to some district, especially like Pathanamthitta and also Thrissur, it ranked, it went 97 to 100%, means the coverage was almost 100%. And the subsequent doses, that is booster doses after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, that is also being evaluated. We are actually giving booster dose 10th and 11th nowadays, because we started this program in 2020 March. And this is the percentage of booster wise population distribution. And now with respect to the telemedicine and telecounseling, we were able to give solace to many persons who were affected with stress and anxiety disorders. And this is in short the patient data. We were, as you can see, the Kerala population is somewhere between 3.5 crore. We were able to manage more than 30% of the population with the homeopathic medicine. And one important misconception is also being shared with this data. You can see that out of the total population, only 24% was children. So that also shows that homeopathy is no more children specific or only treatment for children, but it is acting on adults, and more adult people are also turning for homeopathy. Then coming to the project data, we have some 22 different projects, whether it is state run and district run. We have information on all these information are available on the AHIMS information system that I have mentioned. Now coming to the challenges and opportunities, we all know that as Madam Praveen Oberoi has elaborated the strength, weakness, opportunities and threats. So I'm not going to the details, but of course we have some challenges with respect to the resource crunch. We had a work study report by the personnel and administrative department, which actually found that there is human resource that high need of human resource induction needed in terms of this department with respect to the output. So we hope that more and more human resource will be inducted to this field in the near future. And we have our other flagship institutions like HomeCo, which is actually under the state government Department of Homeopathy, which is running on profit for the last 2 decades, and which is actually exporting medicines not only to the Middle East and as well as other countries and states inside India as well. We have our Indigenous Research Institute, which is actually the National Research Institute for Mental Health, which was earlier a Central Research Institute, and which is offering postgraduate courses in homeopathic medicine as well as practice of medicine and psychiatry. And we have the support from the National Health Mission, which is running around 400 Ayush primary health centers. We have good infrastructure support by the local self-government, essential medicine supply, human resources, and we have good IEC and training. And this National Health Mission funded doctors, they are working single-handedly in most institutions because they are not provided with additional human resources. They are working and they are actually contributing the spread of homeopathy in the remote areas of the state. And we have National Ayush Mission also supporting us with respect to the infrastructure, essential medicines, human resources, IEC training, and also school health. And we have the quality assurance system gaining momentum under the National Ayush Mission with the help of with the ample support of the funding by National Ayush Mission. And we got our 3 institutions accredited, actually, it's yet to be declared, under the Kerala accreditation standard, which is actually a quality system standards, which is indigenously developed in Kerala with respect to the national and international scenario, comparing the national and international scenario. And we were able to encourage our institutions to do their quality improvement journey, and that journey is continuing. We also have National Accreditation Board NABH accreditation process going on in 2 of our medical colleges, that is Government Homeopathic Medical College in Tiruvandhuram. You can see the pictures on this side, and also on Government Homeopathic Medical College, Calicut. We have conducted training programs and they have applied for the accreditation, and hopefully we will get these institutions accredited in the near future. Already you may remember that all our national institute, including National Institute of Homeopathy in Calcutta, they are accredited under NABH. We have national quality assurance standards also in the pipeline, but they haven't started yet the accreditation system of Ayush institutions, because unlike other accreditation systems, this is the only accreditation system which is actually giving back money to the institutions. That is, they are financially assisting the institutions. So we hope that in the near future, these institutions will also be our homeopathy institutions, especially, and Ayush institutions in general, will also be considered for accreditation under the NCOA system. Right now, our state is actually having largest number of institutions accredited by national accreditation standards under NCOA. these institutions are especially allopathic institutions, and they are ranking first in the national level. Most of these institutions are getting marks ranging from 97 to 99% marks. So that shows the quality journey that is in place in the state, and we are able to be nurtured by some of the quality aspects that they are doing. And coming to the golden principle that we are following, we are always following this principle that we are always trying to document what we are doing, and we are trying to do what the documents say or what the manuals say. So that's all with respect to the sessions, and all thanks to the organizers for giving me an opportunity, especially our Principal Health Secretary Rajan sir, Ayush Secretary Sharmila madam, Homeopathy Director Vijayambika madam, my DMO Vijay sir, and also National Ayush Mission Director Divya madam, and National Health Mission Director Ratan sir. These are some of the visuals from our last World Homeopathy Day celebrations, and more details you can have, because in the limited time I was not able to do justice to all part of the homeopathy to showcase the full Kerala model homeopathy, but more details will be available in the website. Thank you one and all for the patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rejikumar, on your enlightening talk on the various projects and aspects of homeopathy scenario in Kerala model. നമ്മുടെ കേരളത്തിന്റെ അഭിമാനമായ വണ്ടർ ക്യാൻസർ കെയർ സെന്റർ, ജനനി, സീതാലയം, സദ്ഗമയ, ആയുഷ്മാൻ ഭവ, പെയിൻ ആൻഡ് പാലിയേറ്റീവ്, റീച്ച്, പുനർജനി, നിസർഗ, ഫ്ലോട്ടിംഗ് ഡിസ്പെൻസറി, ഇതിന്റെ എല്ലാ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ ഇനിയും കൂടുതൽ മെച്ചപ്പെടുത്താൻ നമുക്ക് സാധിക്കട്ടെ. ഈ സെഷനിൽ പങ്കെടുത്ത് അങ്ങയുടെ വാക്കുകൾ കൊണ്ട് കൂടുതൽ അവബോധം നൽകി നമ്മളെ എൻലൈറ്റൻ ചെയ്തതിന് അങ്ങേക്ക് നന്ദി പറയുന്നു. താങ്ക് യു സോ മച്ച് ഡോക്ടർ രജികുമാർ.
Yes. Now we move on to the next session by Dr. Isaac Golden. Dr. Isaac Golden will deliver the topic on the world homeopathic prospects.
The homeopathic physician from Australia founded the Australasian College of Homeopathy and Homeopathy in 1990. He is a regular contributor to international academic journals and is the author of 11 books on homeopathy. He had visited Kerala twice and has taken 2 CMEs for medical officers in Palakkad and Ernakulam. He has also visited HOMCO and the floating homeopathic dispensary at Alappuzha in 2018. He also visited the NHRIMH Kottayam as an invited faculty, and he is the one who wrote about the reach activities of Kerala in many international platforms. Definitely, he holds a very strong relationship with our state. Sir, it's a pleasure to have you here in the session, and may I most humbly request you to join the session.
Thank you very much. But I've got to start with a question. According to your agenda, I have 5 minutes. I've actually prepared a PowerPoint for half an hour, but how do you want to work this if given so little time? Or are you happy to go over time?
So we will be pleased to have your half an hour presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I hope people are not going to get too hungry in the meantime. So I'll try and share my screen. Share. And so are you seeing my screen at all? Hold on.
Yes, sir, please. It's visible.
So is that working okay?
Yes, sir, it is.
Good. Thank you. Well, look, thank you very much for your kind invitation to present. And it's been a great honor as well as a great pleasure. I thought I'd been to Kerala 3 times, not 2. But anyway, you're probably correct. it's been a great pleasure for me to go to Kerala to see your wonderful health system, and the previous two speakers have described it, particularly Dr. Ajay Kumar, who I've met before. And of course, I'm particularly interested in your the REACH program and the way you deal with infectious diseases. But of course, I also know that your system is much more extensive than that and deals with treatments as well as prevention, because I've been to a number of the hospitals there and learnt a great deal from doing that. So just very briefly, I was asked to give a little bit of experience that I've had in Kerala. So my first visit, 2015, I had the opportunity to meet with many of the homeopathic doctors working there. This was the first presentation I gave. I can't remember the name of the gentleman, but he was, I think it was just about his last event before he retired. And he gave me an introduction. I couldn't understand it. It wasn't in English, but halfway through, everyone in the audience sort of smiled and laughed. And I asked Dr. Rafiq after the talk what he had said then. And apparently he told everyone I was a communist because he'd been advised that I'd been to Cuba 4 times to do research. He saw me wearing a cap and having a beard, so he probably assumed I was sitting back in Havana with Fidel, smoking cigars and drinking mojitos. But it was a very amusing, for me, introduction to Kerala, and I learned a lot from that visit and that talk. And then the homeopathic floating dispensary has already been mentioned, and I've been to see that with Dr. Rafiq. And I also wrote about this and shared a photo in Similia, which is the journal of the Australian Homeopathic Association. And this caused great interest among Australian homeopaths. I mean, all the homeopaths in Australia know and respect greatly what India is doing under the Ministry of Ayush. And to see that innovation in putting a dispensary on a boat that you could go to more remote areas was very, very interesting to them. And this was a little photo we took there. And at another visit, I had the great pleasure to attend the launch of an autism clinic. And this is a wonderful initiative, which every country really would benefit from, because the rates of autism, of course, are growing exponentially around the world. And this was a great pleasure for me participating in your wonderful lamp lighting ceremony there. And I thought I'd better put in meeting the boss, since we're all under the auspices of the Department of Ayush. This was when I was in India last time, early 2020, exchanging an MOU with the National Institute of Integrative Medicine in Australia. I'm Deputy Chair of the Ethics Committee. And this was before Dr. Manchanda had retired as Director General, and we were exchanging the MOU there. So I've had a really blessed and wonderful time in India, and I certainly hope the opportunity arises to come back again. So today we're celebrating the birthday of a remarkable human being. And normally we give gifts to the person who's having the birthday. But of course, Hanuman has given us all a gift, which is still giving. And particularly with the emergence of COVID-19, the gift that Hanuman has given us all, as has been discussed by Dr. Obere, there's CCRH and other institutes are doing wonderful work in both treating and using homeopathy for prevention. Now, I don't need to tell you people about the remedies to use for treatment, because in Australia, we have hardly any cases. I've never actually had a case of COVID to treat, whereas you've had thousands. But certainly looking at what homeopaths have talked about with remedies around the world, there are certainly some remedies that are standing out. Arsenicum, Bryonia, Gelsemium are very strongly represented around the world. I know that CCRH suggested Arsenicum album as the preventative, but the other remedies have been used, genus epidemicus remedies have been used for preventatives, phosphorus, pulsatilla, as well, antart in the later stages, as well as mercury, actually, belladonna, eupatorium, nux, and rus tox. But of course, we could add to that list. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about the prevention of infectious diseases in general, and we will talk a little bit more about the prevention of COVID in particular. In 2019, I published 2 articles, and by the way, I'm very happy to have my presentation made available to attendees if you'd like that after the meeting, so that you can get the references down. And this was looking at evidence that we had of large interventions, mainly by government institutions around the world, using homeoprophylaxis or homeopathic immunization. And the findings covered a number of programs in 3 countries. They involved over 50 million people and over 250 million doses. Now, in the table, I called them interventions, but because really the doses, for example, in Hyderabad, the program there for Japanese encephalitis involved using 3 different remedies given over a month. So it wasn't as though a dose was a single dose. It could have been, in that case, for example, a number of doses or a number of repetitions of the same dose. But you can see the numbers there. And this is really the tip of the iceberg. So the first thing that I wanted to make clear is that we have a massive published evidence base about the safety and effectiveness of homeoprophylaxis in general. I had to try and find ways to measure effectiveness, and you can see there that I looked at the different statistical methods as well as looking at the actual results and how they were put together, because the studies were not homogeneous. We couldn't do really an assembly of the studies in a meaningful way because they were very different, a lot of them. Some of them gave percentage figures, some of them didn't. But just very briefly running through the main studies that I looked at, first of all from Cuba, looking at leptospirosis, hepatitis A, dengue and swine flu, pneumococcal disease. And by the way, Cuba started immunizing homeopathically against COVID back in February, March 2020, and I'll come to that in just a moment. In your own country, the very large interventions about Japanese encephalitis, dengue, chikungunya, and epidemic fever. And you can see on the right-hand column there, some of the results were very strong. Also, in Brazil, meningococcal meningitis type B and dengue. Now, in the last of the articles that I referenced, I tried to actually construct a way that we could put together these different and quite non-homogeneous studies. There was a range of effectiveness between 63 and 99%, but working on a weighted average, it came out to 89.45% effectiveness. Now, these findings, which of course were for more epidemic type situations, are very, very consistent with my own long-term study, where I collected data from 1986 to 2002 in Australia. But this was data not in an epidemic situation, but in a long-term endemic situation against diseases like whooping cough, pneumococcal disease, Haemophilus influenzae, meningococcal disease, tetanus, polio, etc. In other words, this was a program that I put together back in 1985 for parents who had chosen themselves not to use orthodox vaccination. I'm sorry, my screen is jumping backwards and forwards a little bit. And so I kept data, I kept annual surveys from 1986 to 2002, and my single figure measure of effectiveness was 90.4%. And the confidence limits were 87.6 to 93.2. So they were very close around the mean. And that's very, very consistent with all of the other large, shorter term studies that we can see. So before we even started with COVID, we were able to say to the world that homeopathy had proven an ability to prevent targeted infectious diseases safely and with a significant degree of effectiveness. Of course, nothing is ever 100% effective. So when we talk about homeoprophylaxis against COVID, there are three possible approaches: GE or genus epidemicus remedies, nosodes, and combination remedies. Now, the GE remedies, we've already talked about the use of arsenicum album via CCRH in India. Any of those single homeopathic treatment remedies could also be used as GE remedies as a preventative. Now, when I first started, because I've been giving out immunisation against COVID in Australia since February 2020, we didn't have a nosode then for COVID. And so I decided to use similar nosodes as well as GE remedies, because I would move to the third using combination remedies. And the reason I did that was because of my experience in Cuba, where I've visited 4 times over the years and done research with the people at Finlay Institute, where it was not only a vaccine manufacturer, but that was the institute, the scientific institute, that actually put out all of the large programs against those infectious diseases I'd mentioned. Now, unfortunately, with the demise of Dr. Castro as president, things changed in the scientific institutes. He was a great supporter of natural medicine in general and homeopathy in particular. And in fact, the person who led as director of the Finlay Institute, Dr. Concepcion Campa Huergo, everyone called her Conchita in Havana. She was a great friend of Fidel's, and she was the only woman on the Cuban Central Council during his time. So she was highly regarded in Cuba, and she was the person who put together, it was under her guidance that Cuba started using homeopathic immunization. She appointed Dr. Bracho, who now lives in Australia, interestingly enough, to work on this project. And I was invited initially to attend a conference in Cuba in 2008. And so I actually have done a lot of work, particularly on their dengue program, where they used a combination of nosodes and GE remedies. So when COVID first appeared, I actually wrote an article, which is available for free on hpathy.com. You can see the link there, where I suggested a combination remedy using the sort of protocols that the Cubans use, where we used influenzainum, pneumococcinum, and bacillinum, because there was no COVID nosode. Because, of course, homeoprophylaxis, like homeopathic treatment, is based on the principle of similars. So if you have similar nosodes, as well as similar GE remedies, the mix or the individual remedies will give a level of protection. But what I felt was, because we had no nosode, and because we were getting different reports about different remedies being used in different countries, possibly because of the strain being somewhat different in different countries, that a combination remedy like this would cover most of the bases. Now that we're starting to get nosodes being made, and I finally managed to get one from England that had quite a good paperwork trail, and I was very interested to hear about the work that you're doing in India, developing nosodes. And I know that Dr. Shah has also done a lot of work in India developing nosodes. So now I've changed the formula that I originally used where I'm now incorporating a COVID nosode, and I've made a slight change to the GE remedies as well. Because once again, it's a matter of similars. It's not a matter of being exactly the same. Homeopathy, if it was based on the principle of exactly the same, would be an almost impossible method to use. But the law of similars, or the principle of similars, gives us a great deal of flexibility. So there are those three possibilities in prophylaxis against COVID. And I know some of you will be aghast at me talking about a combination remedy. When I first went to Cuba, I was the same, because in general, I only use single remedies. And in my own immunization program in Australia, I only use one remedy at a time. And it is a bit of a shock to hear about this, but if you're a classical homeopath. But once again, it's based on the principle of similars, and I have to tell you that what they do works. Now, I don't know if I'm going to have time to talk about this. I'll try and do it very quickly. It was a great pleasure to see your paperwork when it was sent out that Professor Vithulkas is talking, because he and I agree to disagree about homeoprophylaxis. And some of you may be aware, but in 2007, he and I had quite an extensive debate about this topic in H-pathy. And it's still available if you're interested to go back and have a look. It was a very polite discussion, because I have enormous respect for Dr. Vithulkas. And he was very polite to me in return, unlike some of his interactions around that time. He basically said that HP, homeoprophylaxis, was not an appropriate part of homeopathy, because homeopathy works in treating disease, and you all know this. The stronger similar disease eliminates a weaker similar disease. We make the remedy disease stronger than the natural disease through potentization. And so the natural disease has been eliminated. And of course, the remedy disease dissipates over time, and the person's left with neither. And Dr. Vithulkas said that the only reason why HP appeared to work when Hahnemann used in 1798, used belladonna to both treat and prevent scarlet fever, was because the outbreak was in the area. So really it was a kind of treatment, just a little bit in advance. And I disagreed. I responded showing data that homeoprophylaxis does work well in advance of an outbreak exposure to the disease. And by the way, the Japanese encephalitis interventions in Hyderabad and the state there are given in advance. They're given once a year, and they were given for 11 years in a row. So it's not exactly the same as what I was doing, but it's sort of halfway between. But there is a way to reconcile these apparently opposite positions, because I came away from that discussion and I meditated on it for months because of my respect for Professor Vithulkas. So I thought, this man is generally correct, what he says about homeopathy, but yet I know what the data is saying. I know what Hahnemann did himself. And I believe there is a way to reconcile it. And I'll have to just rush through this because of time, but very simply, I don't need to tell an audience of doctors from India that we are more than just our physical body. At the very least, we have an emotional self and we have an intellectual self. Some people say an astral self and a lower mental body. And who knows what else? We don't need to go into that. But certainly the vehicles that we use in each embodiment are the physical, the emotional, and the intellectual selves. Now, my understanding is this, that if each of those bodies was perfect, was completely free of contamination, then the vital force would be able to act completely unimpeded. And so anything that we were subjected to physically, mentally, emotionally we could immediately deal with because the vital force was able to work and respond instantaneously and with maximum effect. Obviously, if you get shot by a bullet, you're going to suffer. If you drop a hammer on your toe, you'll feel that. But you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about diseases, not accidents and injuries. Now, maybe the faults that a newborn is born with are the miasms that Hahnemann talked about. We don't have time to talk about this at greater length, but let's say that was miasmic problems inherited as well as genetic and other problems. So in other words, no person is born perfect. Therefore, everyone is capable of being treated. If all the miasms are dormant, the infant will appear to be in perfect health, but there are still potential weaknesses there. So let's talk about whooping cough. When you give homeoprophylaxis for whooping cough to a newborn, I start my program at 2 weeks of age. That, if there's any weakness in the person's total physical and energetic selves that resonate with whooping cough, the nosode, or if you want to use a genus epidemicus remedy, there's a variety one can use, but I prefer the nosode. The nosode can eliminate that weakness. So that means that when the person is exposed to the disease, the vital force is able to work unimpeded in that part of our total self, because that part that resonates with whooping cough has been healed, treated, healed. The weakness has been removed. And therefore, even though the vital force may not be able to respond perfectly in other ways, when it comes to whooping cough, it can respond very immediately and very strongly. So that's quicker than I'd like to have spent, but I hope that gives you just a little feeling of the thinking that I've had about how we can reconcile what Professor Vithulkas and what the data appear to be in conflict, but actually they don't need to be. Homeoprophylaxis works by treating inherited weaknesses. So homeopathy has a great deal to offer the world, not only to both prevent and treat COVID, along with other infectious diseases, but also with dealing with most non-surgical health conditions. And of course, we have the capacity to help following surgery. Homeopathy has the potential to lower the burden of chronic disease in all countries and to save health systems huge amounts of expenditure. But the problem we have, as the previous speakers have alluded to, is that much of the world knows nothing about homeopathy. And what little they do know has been intentionally distorted by non-science reports, such as the Australian NHMRC review. And by the way, just to update you on that, this review which is being undertaken by the Australian Commonwealth Ombudsman, based on a complaint by the Australian Homeopathic Association about the conduct of the review, the NHMRC review, which was totally non-scientific. It broke numerous rules of normal ethical research. This investigation has been going for years. It almost finished, but it has been reactivated. And of course, we are hoping very, very much that the Ombudsman, the Office of the Ombudsman, will come out with a simple, truthful response, because any objective person looking at what happened can see how the NHMRC acted unethically in a range of different ways, how they cherry-picked 1,500 studies down to just 5. They drew their conclusion based on just 5 studies. Very similar, but on a larger scale, to what happened in England in 2005 with the Lancet article there, which also cherry-picked the allopathic and the homeopathic studies in order to come to the conclusion that they started with, which was that homeopathy does not have evidence of effectiveness. And we know, of course, that it does. So I hope in the next year or two, hopefully it won't go on longer than that, we'll have good news from Australia and the Ombudsman will come out and declare that the NHMRC report was scientifically fraudulent. But the only way we can really respond is to continually publish carefully prepared documentation showing the safety and effectiveness of all aspects of homeopathy, both prevention and treatment. And as the previous speakers have alluded to that, and I totally agree with them. I believe that India holds the key to maintaining the future of homeopathy internationally. And that's a great responsibility that you carry, because more than any other country in the world, you have the capacity to show the world how well homeopathy works within a government health systems, both national and state systems. And Kerala is known as possibly the most outstanding example of this, the use of homeopathy in so many constructive ways within a government system. But as I said, you're carrying a very large responsibility, as well as the hopes of thousands and thousands of homeopaths and millions of patients. I've got a request, and this may be a little bit cheeky, but I heard that there may be some government officials here, and of course there may be some very influential people. But the thing I request is that if we reach a point where most international airlines require some sort of a vaccination certificate or vaccination passport to be able to fly, I ask you to put pressure on the heads of Air India to also accept the use of homeoprophylaxis as a complete pass to allow people to fly on Air India flights. I mean, hopefully these vaccination passports won't happen, but there's a lot of people trying to make them happen. But there is absolutely no reason why homeoprophylaxis done properly should not stand alongside vaccination as a immunization passport. So don't call it a vaccination one. We should have an immunization passport if that's really necessary. And either vaccination or homeoprophylaxis should be acceptable. And I really want you to work on this, because otherwise I may never get back to India. And I really want to come back and visit Kerala again and see some of my old friends there. So look, thank you again for the opportunity to participate on this auspicious day. I've rushed through things a little bit quickly, but I know we were a little bit behind time. And of course, we must all give our eternal thanks to Master Hanuman for his gift that keeps giving. And if we honor his gift by demonstrating to the world what homeopathy can offer through thorough research and thoughtful publications, then I have no doubt that homeopathy will have a strong future. And as I said, you in India hold that future very much in your hands. So may the greater powers bless you all in the work you're doing. It is most appreciated around the world. I can assure you of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We really appreciate and are grateful for your efforts to share the initiatives of our department on an international level. And definitely, we are looking forward to your next visit to Kerala. On behalf of our department, I would like to wish you all success in all your endeavors, and may you contribute more work in the field of homeoprophylaxis and publications helpful to the homeopathic fraternity. Definitely, healthy discussions among homeopathic fraternity will help to improve the scope of our system. Thank you very much, sir. Your words have also enlightened us on the world scenario of homeopathy, especially in this pandemic situation. And we are eagerly waiting for the good news from Australia.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. for
Thank
also
you.
reminding the responsibility of homeopaths in Kerala and India. And we shall continue our efforts to honor our master. And once again, looking forward for your visit, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for attending the session and enlightening us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you all.
To the conclusion of the first part of the scientific session. We'll take a short break of 10 minutes and reassemble back for the panel discussion, which will be resumed at 2 o'clock. Thank you.